So which one do you want to watch? MSNBC?
Hell no.
I think that one will be the funniest one. All right, so we got NBC News, PBS, Washington, CBS, CNN,
Oh
CBN.
man.
That's a more neutral one, but
Oh my God. Toby just said Rachel Maddow looks like the high school white boy that works at Sonics.
who used to be on the football team, a quarterback, a wide receiver.
Oh boy.
Um,
She sings for a lumberjack quartet. So
there's a lot of people playing it. I don't think we'll get in trouble for playing it, man.
nah, I don't think so.
There's a
I
lot
don't
of
think
people
so.
playing it right now.
I don't think so. Nah, hey, T Rail, John Thompson. I was just kidding with you guys, man. Listen, I don't care who gets the views between me and those speaks, as long as we're up here having a real dialogue, some real content. And we literally sat there for it for what we do, sit there for 35, 40 minutes.
Yeah, we
My
thought we
dog
had it all now. What's going on, K Soprano in Chicago? Um, PBS, NBC, CBS. Which one do you want to do? Oh boy, here she goes.
Hey, I gotta show you something, O Speaks, real
What's
quick.
up?
We had to put him in timeout for that little accident he had in our house. Now he trying to act like he's all no, don't do that. No, no, sir. Because we just took him to walk and he wanted to pull that on us.
They'll
So
do that. They'll do that.
now
All
the
right.
haters, now they're gonna say, "Oh, animal cruelty." Nope.
Will this be seen? So should we stream the original? Because won't this be seen as streaming somebody else's live if we do like MSNBC or somebody else? Anybody know the rules on that? But that's a CBS debate, right?
No, I think it's an ABC 7 and ABC News debate.
Okay.
Yes, ABC.
ABC. They're giving the rules. Any predictions before they get started?
Oh yeah, my prediction is that Kamala Harris is going to try to pull one of
Oh,
those.
they're walking out.
I
Look
am
how small
speak.
she is.
I am speaking, sir, or she's going to pull one of those. Donald Trump, you're a racist, and I'm proud to be a black woman. I'm sorry, a woman of color. She won't say she's black. Dang.
That is the economy and the cost.
So that's my prediction, and they're going to try to hide everything that she is. They're going to try to hide all of her failures and try to make it about like little catch points.
Yeah, and I think there's going to be a lot of leading questions like Dana Bash tried to do for her.
Yeah.
Oh, they're already answering questions.
And I am actually the only person on this
Can you
stage
hear
who
that
has a
good?
plan
Everybody
that
hear
is
it good?
about lifting up the middle class and working people of America. I believe in the ambition, the aspirations, the dreams of the American people. And that is why I imagine and have actually a plan to build what I call an opportunity economy. Because here's the thing. We know that we have a shortage of homes and housing, and the cost of housing is too expensive for far too many people. We know that young families need support to raise their children, and I intend on extending a tax cut for those families of $6,000, which is the largest child tax credit that we have given in a long time, so that those young families can afford to buy a
I'm looking
crib,
at his face.
buy a car seat, buy clothes for their children. My passion, one of them, is small businesses. I was actually, my mother raised my sister and me, but there was a woman who helped raise us. We call her our second mother. She was a small business owner. I love our small businesses. My plan is to give a $50,000 tax deduction to start up small businesses, knowing they are part of the backbone of America's economy. My opponent, on the other hand, his plan is to do what he has done before, which is to provide a tax cut for billionaires and big corporations, which will result in $5 trillion to America's deficit. My opponent has a plan that I call the Trump's sales tax, which would be a 20% tax on everyday goods that you rely on to get through the month. Economists have said that Trump sales tax would actually result for middle-class families in about $4,000 more a year because of his policies and his ideas about
woman.
what should be the backs of middle-class people paying for tax cuts for billionaires.
President Trump, I'll give you 2 minutes.
First of all, I have no sales tax. That's an incorrect statement. She knows that. We're doing tariffs on other countries. Other countries are going to finally, after 75 years, pay us back for all that we've done for the world. And the tariff will be substantial in some cases. I took in billions and billions of dollars, as you know, from China. In fact, they never took the tariff off because there was so much money they can't. It would totally destroy everything that they've set out to do. They're taking in billions of dollars from China and other places. They've left the tariffs on. When I had it, I had tariffs, and yet I had no inflation. Look, we've had a terrible economy because inflation which is really known as a country buster. It breaks up countries. We have inflation like very few people have ever seen before, probably the worst in our nation's history. We were at 21%, but that's being generous because many things are 50, 60, 70, and 80% higher than they were just a few years ago. This has been a disaster for people, for the middle class, but for every class. On top of that, we have millions of people pouring into our country from prisons and jails, from mental institutions and insane asylums, and they're coming in and they're taking jobs that are occupied right now by African Americans and Hispanics, and also unions. Unions are going to be affected very soon. And you see what's happening. You see what's happening with towns throughout the United States. You look at Springfield, Ohio. You look at Aurora.
She doesn't know anything about businesses.
They are taking over the towns. They're taking over buildings. They're going in violently. These are the people that she and Biden led into our country, and they're destroying our country. They're dangerous. They're at the highest level of criminality, and we have to get them out. We have to get them out fast. I created one of the greatest economies in the history of our country. I'll do it again and even better.
We are going to get to
Does she know the cameras on her?
security during this debate.
I know, right? She was drawing smiley faces.
President Harris respond on the economy here.
Well, I would love to. Let's talk about what Donald Trump left us.
Oh my God.
Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment since the Great Depression.
What?
Donald Trump left us the worst public health epidemic in a century. Donald Trump left us the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. And what we have done is clean up Donald Trump's mess. What we have done and what I intend to do is build on what we know are the aspirations and the hopes of the American people. But I'm going to tell you all in this debate tonight, you're going to hear from the same old tired playbook, a bunch of lies, grievances, and name calling. What you're going to hear tonight,
I hope he doesn't call her a name,
is a detailed and dangerous plan called Project 2025 that the former president intends on implementing if he were elected again. I believe very strongly that the American people want a president who understands the importance of bringing us together, knowing we have so much more in common than what separates us. And I pledge to you to be a president for all Americans.
President Trump will give you a minute here to respond.
Number one, I have nothing to do, as you know, and as she knows better than anyone, I have nothing to do with Project 2025.
She knows
that's
this.
out there. I haven't read it. I don't
can't
want to
believe
read it
they're trying
purposely.
that.
I'm not going to read it. This was a group of people that got together. They came up with some ideas, I guess some good, some bad, but it makes no difference. I have nothing to do. Everybody knows I'm an open book. Everybody knows what I'm going to do. Cut taxes very substantially and create a great economy like I did before. We had the greatest economy. We got hit with a pandemic. And the pandemic was not since 1917, where 100 million people died, has there been anything like it. We did a phenomenal job with the pandemic. We handed them over a country where the economy and where the stock market was higher than it was before the pandemic came in.
That's fast.
Nobody's ever seen anything like it. We made ventilators for the entire world. We got gowns, we got masks, we did things that nobody thought possible. And people give me credit for rebuilding the military. They give me credit for a lot of things, but not enough credit for the great job we did with the pandemic. But the only jobs they got were bounce back jobs. These were jobs bounce back, and it bounced back and it went to their benefit. But I was the one that created them. They know it, and so does everybody else.
Vice President Harris, I'll let you respond.
So Donald Trump has no plan for you. And when you look at his economic plan, it's all about tax breaks for the richest people. I am offering what I describe as an opportunity economy. And the best economists in our country, if not the world, have reviewed our relative plans for the future of America. What Goldman Sachs has said is that Donald Trump's plan would make the economy worse. Mine would strengthen the economy. What the Wharton School has said is Donald Trump's plan would actually explode the deficit. 16 Nobel laureates have described his economic plan as something that would increase inflation and by the middle of next year would invite a recession. You just have to look at where we are and where we stand on the issues. And I'd invite you to know that Donald Trump actually has no plan for you because he is more interested in defending himself than he is in looking out for you.
She's not going to give her
own record.
Yep.
She's so afraid to stand on that record.
I went to the Wharton School of Finance, and many of those professors, the top professors, think my plan is a brilliant plan. It's a great plan. It's a plan that's going to bring up our worth, our value as a country. It's going to make people want to be able to go and work and create jobs and create a lot of good, solid money for our country. Just to finish off,
guys, make sure y'all hit the like button as y'all come in.
She copied Biden's plan, and it's like
Mel, put that in the back chat for me in the
like
private
run,
chat.
spot, run. 4 sentences that are just, oh, we'll try and lower taxes. She doesn't have a plan. Take a look at her plan. She doesn't have a plan.
Mr. President, I do want to drill down on something you both brought up. The Vice President brought up your tariffs. You responded, and let's drill down on this because your plan is what she calls is essentially a national sales tax. Your proposal calls for tariffs, as you pointed out here, on foreign imports across the board. You recently said that you might double your plan, imposing tariffs up to 20% on goods coming into this country. As you know, many economists say that with tariffs at that level, costs are then passed on to the consumer. Vice President Harris has argued it'll mean higher prices on gas, food, clothing, medication, arguing it costs the typical family nearly $4,000 a year. Do you believe Americans can afford higher prices because of tariffs?
They're not going to have higher prices. What's going to have and who's going to have higher prices is China and all of the countries that have been ripping us off for years. I was the only president.
We already saw it.
Yeah,
China was paying us hundreds of billions of dollars, and so were other countries. And, you know, if she doesn't like them, they should have gone out and they should have immediately cut the tariffs. But those tariffs are there 3.5 years now under their administration. We are going to take in billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars. I had no inflation, virtually no inflation. They had the highest inflation perhaps in the history of our country because I've never seen a worse period of time. People can't go out and buy cereal or bacon or eggs or anything else. The people of our country are absolutely dying with what they've done. They've destroyed the economy. And all you have to do is look at the poll. The polls say 80,
everyone knows
85, and even 90% that the Trump economy was great, that their economy was terrible.
Vice President Harris, I do want to ask for your response. And you heard what the president said there, because the Biden administration did keep a number of the Trump tariffs in place. So how do you respond?
Well, let's be clear that the Trump administration resulted in a trade deficit, one of the highest we've ever seen in the history of America. He invited trade wars. You want to talk about his deal with China? What he ended up doing is under Donald Trump's presidency, he ended up selling American chips to China to help them improve and modernize their military, basically sold us out. When a policy about China should be in making sure the United States of America wins the competition for the 21st century.
And what the hell does that have to do with them keeping Trump's tariffs in?
What that requires.
Nothing.
Focusing on relationships with our allies, focusing on investing in American-based technology so that we win the race on AI, on quantum computing, focusing on what we need to do to support America's workforce so that we don't end up having on the short end of the stick in terms of workers' rights. But what Donald Trump did,
John Thompson, we're going to be fact-checking this throughout.
He actually thanked President Xi for what he did during COVID. Look at his tweet. Thank you, President Xi, ! When we know that Xi was responsible for lacking and not giving us transparency about the origins of COVID.
And when Donald Trump wanted to close the borders for China, it was her and Joe Biden
chips
they were
anymore
racist.
because of philosophies like they have and policies like they have. I don't say her because she has no policy. Everything that she believed 3 years ago and 4 years ago is out the window. She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat. She's going to my philosophy. But if she ever got elected, she'd change it. And it will be the end of our country. She's a Marxist. Everybody knows she's a Marxist. Her father's a Marxist professor in economics, and he taught her well. But when you look at what she's done to our country, and when you look at these millions and millions of people that are pouring into our country monthly, where it's, I believe, 21 million people, not the 15 that people say, and I think it's a lot higher than the 21. That's bigger than New York State pouring in. And just look at what they're doing to our country. They're criminals. Many of these people coming in are criminals. And that's bad for our economy, too. You know, you mentioned before, we'll talk about immigration later. Well, bad immigration is the worst thing that can happen to our economy. They have, and she has destroyed our country with policy that's insane. Almost policy that you'd say they have to hate our country.
President Trump, thank you. Lindsay?
I want to turn to the issue of abortion. President Trump, you've often touted that you were able to kill Roe v. Wade. Last year, you said that you were proud to be the most pro-life president in American history. Then last month, you said that your administration would be great for women and their reproductive rights. In your home state of Florida, you surprised many with regard to your 6-week abortion ban, because you initially had said that it was too short. And you said, quote, I'm going to be voting that we need more than 6 weeks. But then the very next day, you reversed course and said you would vote to support the 6-week ban. Vice President Harris says that women shouldn't trust you on the issue of abortion because you've changed your position so many times. Therefore, why should they trust you?
Well, the reason I'm doing that vote is because the plan is, as you know, the vote is, they have abortion in the 9th month. They even have, and you can look at the governor of West Virginia, the previous governor of West Virginia, not the current governor, is doing an excellent job, but the governor before, he said the baby will be born and we will decide what to do.
He's talking about, but correction, he's talking about Virginia.
And that's why I did that, because that predominates, because they're radical. The Democrats are radical in that. And her vice presidential pick, which I think was a horrible pick, by the way, for our country, because he is really out of it. But her vice presidential pick says abortion in the 9th month is absolutely fine. He also says execution after birth. It's an execution, no longer abortion, because the baby is born, is okay. And that's not okay with me, hence the vote. But what I did is something for 52 years, they've been trying to get Roe v. Wade into the states. And through the genius and heart and strength of 6 Supreme Court justices, we were able to do that. Now, I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. I believe strongly in it. Ronald Reagan did also. 85% of Republicans do. Exceptions, very important. But we were able to get it, and now states are voting on it. And for the first time, you're going to see, look, this is an issue that's torn our country apart for 52 years. Every legal scholar, every Democrat, every Republican, liberal, conservative, they all wanted this issue to be brought back to the states where the people could vote.
And they're bringing it back now as an issue.
Now, Ohio, the vote was somewhat liberal. Kansas, the vote was somewhat liberal, much more liberal than people would have thought. But each individual state is voting. It's the vote of the people now. It's not tied up in the federal government. I did a great service in doing it. It took courage to do it. And the Supreme Court had great courage in doing it. And I give tremendous credit to those 6 justices.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born.
Said.
Madam Vice President, I want to get
there she goes with a fact check. See?
Well,
See what
as I
they
said,
do,
you're going to hear a
people?
bunch of lies. And that's not actually a surprising fact. Let's understand how we got here. Donald Trump hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And they did exactly as he intended. And now in over 20 states, there are Trump abortion bans, which make it criminal for a doctor or nurse to provide health care. In one state, it provides prison for life.
There are no states
Trump
that
abortion
have
bans that make no exception even for rape and incest, which understand what that means. A survivor of a crime, a violation to their body, does not have the right to make a decision about what happens to their body next. That is immoral. And one does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree. The government, and Donald Trump certainly, should not be telling a woman what to do with her body. I have talked with women around our country.
The baby's body.
You want to talk about this is what people wanted? Pregnant women who want to carry a pregnancy to term, suffering from a miscarriage, being denied care in an emergency room because the healthcare providers are afraid they might go to jail, and she's bleeding out in a car in a parking lot. She didn't want that. Her husband didn't want that. A 12 or 13-year-old survivor of incest,
She's looking for the emotion.
being
She's
forced
not
to
looking
carry
for
a
the
pregnancy to term, they don't want that. And I pledge to you, when Congress passes a bill to put back in place the protections of Roe v. Wade, as President of the United States, I will proudly sign it into law. But understand, if Donald Trump were to be reelected, he will sign a national abortion ban. Understand, in his Project 2025, there would be a national abortion, a monitor that would be monitoring your pregnancies, your miscarriages. I think the American people believe that certain freedoms, in particular the freedom to make decisions about one's own body, should not be made by the government.
Thank you, Vice President Harris.
So we want to have the government. We want to have the government to be involved.
I'm not signing a ban, and there's no reason to sign a ban because we've gotten what everybody wanted: Democrats, Republicans, and everybody else. And every legal scholar wanted it to be brought back into the states, and the states are voting. And it may take a little time, but for 52 years, this issue has torn our country apart. And they've wanted it back in the states. And I did something that nobody thought was possible. The states are now voting. What she says is an absolute lie. And as far as the abortion ban, no, I'm not in favor of abortion ban, but it doesn't matter because this issue has now been taken over by the states.
Would you veto a national abortion ban if it came
Well,
to
I
your
won't
desk?
have to because, again, two things. Number one, she said she'll go back to Congress. She'll never get the vote. It's impossible for her to get the vote, especially now with the 50-50 and essentially 50-50 in both Senate and the House. She's not going to get the vote. Nope. She can't get the vote. She won't even come close to it. So it's just talk. You know what it reminds me of? When they said they're going to get student loans terminated, and it ended up being a total catastrophe. The student loans, and then her, I think probably her boss, if you call him a boss, he spends all his time on the beach. But look, her boss went out and said, we'll do it again. We'll do it a different way. And he went out, got rejected again by the Supreme Court. So all these students got taunted with this whole thing about this whole idea, and how unfair that would have been. Part of the reason they lost to the millions and millions of people that had to pay off their student loans. They didn't get it for free, but they were saying it's the same way that they talked about that they talk about abortion.
But if I could just get a yes or no, because your running mate, J.D. Vance, has said that you would veto it if it did come to your desk.
Well, I didn't discuss it with J.D. In all fairness, J.D., and I don't mind if he has a certain view, but I think he was speaking for me, but I really didn't. Look, we don't have to discuss it because she'd never be able to get it, just like she couldn't get student loans. They couldn't get student loans. They didn't even come close to getting student loans. They taunted young people and a lot of other people that had loans. They can never get this approved. So it doesn't matter what she says about going to Congress. So wonderful. Let's go to Congress, do it. But the fact is that for years, they wanted to get it out of Congress and out of the federal government. And we did something that everybody said couldn't be done. And now you have a vote of the people on abortion.
Exactly.
Vice President Harris, I want to give you your time to respond, but I do want to ask, would you support any restrictions on a woman's right to an abortion?
I absolutely support reinstating the protections of Roe v. Wade. And as you rightly mentioned, nowhere in America is a woman carrying a pregnancy to term and asking for an abortion. That is not happening. It's insulting to the women of America. And understand what has been happening under Donald Trump's abortion bans. Couples
Abortion
who pray
bans. Why does she keep saying that?
and dream of having a family
that's the narrative.
are being denied IVF treatments. What is happening in our country?
Wow.
Working people, working women who are working one or two jobs, who can barely afford childcare as it is.
Keep in mind, this is a
have to
motherless
travel to
woman who
another
never had to
state
deal with any of
Exactly.
these
to
issues.
get on a
That's
plane
why
sitting
she's-
next to strangers,
Trying to get
to
this
go
empathy.
and get the health care
It's
she
not possible. She
needs.
doesn't understand what she's saying.
Barely can afford to do it, and what you are putting her through is unconscionable.
I can't
And
believe
the
this
people
works on
of
humans.
America have not, the majority of Americans believe in a woman's right to make decisions about her own body. And that is why in every state where this issue has been on the ballot, in red and blue states both, the people of America have voted for freedom.
Vice President.
Excuse me, I
Harris.
have to respond.
She's just
Another
lying.
lie. It's another lie. I have been a leader on IVF, which is fertilization. The IVF, I have been a leader. In fact, when they got a very negative decision on IVF from the Alabama courts, I saw the people of Alabama and the legislature 2 days later voted it in. I've been a leader on it. They know that, and everybody else knows it. I have been a leader on fertilization, IVF. And the other thing, you should ask, will she allow abortion in the 8th month, 9th month, 7th month?
Here we go.
Come on.
Okay, would you do that?
Answer.
Why don't you ask her that?
Answer.
Why don't you
Damn, that's
answer
a
the
good question.
question? Would you
Answer.
veto?
Under Roe v.
Answer
Wade,
the question. Would you veto?
you could do abortions in
That's
the
a good
7th
question.
month, the 8th
She's not gonna
month,
answer 'cause she
the 9th
can't.
month,
That's not true.
and
If
probably
you don't
after
believe in
birth.
it, you wouldn't do
Just
it.
look at the former governor of Virginia.
The left wing
The
believes in
governor
that,
of
though.
Virginia said
Yeah,
we
he got
put
it
the
right.
baby aside and then we determine what we want to do with the baby.
I'm gonna get
And
that
he
video.
did
right
We're going
actually
to turn
say
now
that.
to immigration and border
North
security.
Carolina.
I
Yeah, they
know
bailed
it's an
her
issue
out.
that's important to Republicans, Democrats,
Wow.
voters
She didn't
across
have to
the
answer,
board
huh?
in this country. Vice President Harris, you were tasked by President Biden with getting to the root causes of migration from Central America.
Meaning
We
your
know that
borders
illegal
are.
border crossings reached a record high in the Biden administration. This past June, President Biden imposed tough new asylum restrictions. We know the numbers since then have dropped significantly. But my question to you tonight is, why did the administration wait until 6 months before the election to act? And would you have done anything differently from President Biden on this?
So I'm the only person on this stage who has prosecuted
Oh,
transnational
Jesus.
criminal organizations for the trafficking of guns, drugs, and human beings.
And who's allowed 11
And let me
million
say that the
illegal
United States Congress, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Senate, came up with a border security bill, which I supported. And that bill would have put 1,500 more border agents on the border to help those folks who are working there right now overtime, trying to do their job.
So
It would have allowed us
but
to stem the flow of fentanyl coming into the United States. I know there are so many families watching tonight who have been personally affected by the surge of fentanyl in our country. That bill would have put more resources to allow us to prosecute transnational
Can you hear
criminal
me?
organizations for trafficking
That's
in
what
guns,
she-
drugs, and
we've heard
human
her say
beings.
this
But you know what
before.
happened to that bill? Donald Trump got on the phone, called up some folks in Congress and said, kill the bill. And you know why? Because he'd prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing.
So she is saying that Donald Trump has
And
more power
understand,
than her
this
and
comes at
Joe
a
Biden,
time
who are in
where
office right
the
now.
people of
And
our
hey,
country
right now.
actually
real quick-
need a leader
real quick question
who
though.
engages.
Wasn't that the bill that they tied the Ukrainian aid
Yes,
the
yes,
problems at hand.
absolutely.
to?
But
Stupid.
but she's saying that him not being in power has more power than her. So then why would you elect her if he can still do that when she gets in office?
Immigration a lot tonight,
It's
even
a
when it's not
lie.
the subject that is being raised. And I'm going to actually do something really unusual, and I'm going to invite
How
you
about you answer the
to
question?
attend one of Donald Trump's rallies, because it's a really interesting thing to watch. You will see during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills cause cancer.
What is she?
And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom. And I will tell you, the one
He
thing
gets
you will not hear
10,000s
him
of
talk
people at
about
his rallies.
is you. You will not hear him talk about your needs, your dreams, and your desires. And I'll tell you, I believe you deserve a president who actually puts you first. And I
Please,
pledge to you
yes.
that I will.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump, on that point, I want to get your response.
Well, I would like to
Let
respond.
me
He
just
can't
ask, though,
respond.
why did you try to kill that bill, and successfully so?
Please
That would have
tell
put thousands of
why.
additional agents and officers on the border.
First, let me respond as to the
Please.
rallies. She said people start leaving. People don't go to her rallies. There's no reason to go. And the people that do go, she's bussing them in and paying them to be there and then showing them in a different light. So she can't talk about that. People don't leave my rallies. We have the biggest rallies, the most incredible rallies in the
People are
history of
worried about the
politics.
rallies.
That's because people want to take
But come
their
on,
country
Donald,
back.
get back to the
Our
question now.
country is being lost. We're a
There we
failing
go.
nation. And it happened 3.5 years ago. And what's going on here,
see
you're going to
it
end
on
up
the
in World War III, just to go into another subject. What they have done to our country by allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country, and look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be Aurora or Springfield.
Mhm.
A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're
Chicago.
so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that
And
came in.
ducks
They're
and
eating the
cats.
cats. They're eating
I'm going live about this
they're
tomorrow.
eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country. And it's a shame. As far as rallies are concerned, as far as the reason they go is they like what I say. They want to bring our country back. They want to make America great again. It's a very simple phrase.
Yep.
Make America great again. She's destroying this country. And if she becomes president, this country doesn't have a chance of success. Not only success, will end up being Venezuela on steroids.
I just want to clarify here. You bring up Springfield, Ohio, and ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific claims
I have video
injured or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Well, I've seen people on television.
Let me just say here, this is
the people on television say my dog was taken and used for food. So maybe he said that, and maybe that's a good thing to say for a city manager.
I'm not taking this from
television.
But the
people are on television saying their dog was eaten by the people that went there.
Again, the Springfield city manager says there's no evidence of that.
People
Vice President, I'll let you respond to the rest of it.
You talk about extreme. You know, this is, I think, one of the reasons why in this election, I actually have the endorsement of 200 Republicans who have formerly worked with President Bush, Mitt Romney, and John McCain, including the endorsement of former Vice President Dick Cheney and Congress member Liz Cheney.
She's making a case against
and
herself.
If you want to really know the inside track, who the former president is, if he didn't make it clear already, just ask people who have worked with him. His former chief of staff, a 4-star general, has said he has contempt for the Constitution of the United States. His former national security advisor has said he is dangerous and unfit. His former Secretary of Defense has said the nation, the republic, would never survive another Trump term.
There were no wars.
And when we listen to this kind of rhetoric, when the issues that affect the American people are not being addressed, I think the choice is clear in this election.
President Trump, I'll give you a quick minute to respond here.
Thank you. Because when I hear that, see, I'm a different kind of a person. I fired most of those people. Not so graciously. They did bad things or a bad job. I fired them. They never fired one person. They didn't fire anybody having to do with Afghanistan and the Taliban and the 13 people who's were just killed, viciously and violently killed. And I got to know the parents and the family. They didn't fire. They should have fired all those generals, all those top people, because that was one of the most incompetently handled situations anybody has ever seen. So when somebody does a bad job, I fire him. And you take a guy like Esper. He was no good. I fired him. So he writes a book. Another one writes a book. Because with me, they can write books. With nobody else can they. But they have done such a poor job, and they never fire anybody. Look at the economy. Look at the inflation. They didn't fire any of their economists. They have the same people. That's a good way not to have books written about you. But just to finish, I got more votes than any Republican in history by far. In fact, I got more votes than any sitting president in history by far.
Let me continue on immigration. It was what you wanted to talk about earlier. So let's get back to your deportation proposal that the vice president has reacted to as well. President Trump, you call this the largest domestic deportation operation in the history of our country. You say you would use the National Guard. You say if things get out of control, you'd have no problem using the U.S. military. You also said you would use local police. How would you deport 11 million undocumented immigrants? I know you believe that number is much higher. Take us through this. What does this look like? Will authorities be going door to door in this country?
Yeah, it is much higher because of them. They allowed criminals, many millions of criminals. They allowed terrorists. They allowed common street criminals. They allowed people to come in, drug dealers, to come into our country. And they're now in the United States and told by their countries like Venezuela, don't ever come back or we're going to kill you.
100%
Do you know that crime in Venezuela and crime in countries all over the world is way down? You know why? Because they've taken their criminals off the street and they've given them to her to put into our country. And this will be one of the greatest mistakes in history for them to allow. And I think they probably did it because they think they're going to get votes, but it's not worth it because they're destroying the fabric of our country by what they've done. There's never been anything done like this at all. They've destroyed the fabric of our country. Millions of people let in, and all over the world, crime is down all over the world except here. Crime here is up and through the roof. Despite their fraudulent statements that they made, crime in this country is through the roof. And we have a new form of crime. It's called migrant crime. And it's happening at levels that nobody thought possible.
President Trump, as you know, the FBI says overall violent crime is actually coming down in this country. But
excuse me, the FBI they were defrauding statements. They didn't include the worst cities.
Yep.
They didn't include the cities with the worst crime. It was a fraud, just like their number of 818,000 jobs that they said they created turned out to be a fraud.
President Trump, thank you. I'll let you respond, Vice President Harris.
Well, I think this is so rich coming from someone who has been prosecuted for national security crimes, economic crimes, election interference, has been found liable for sexual assault, and his next big court appearance is in November at his own criminal sentencing. And let's be clear where each person stands on the issue of what is important about respect for the rule of law and respect for law enforcement.
Really
the former vice president called for defunding federal law enforcement, 45,000 agents, get this, on the day after he was arraigned on 34 felony counts.
Pulling that one up.
So let's talk about what is important in this race. It is important that we move forward, that we turn the page on this same old tired rhetoric and address the needs of the American people, address what we need to do about the housing shortage, which I have a plan for, address what we must do to support our small businesses, address bringing down the price of groceries. But frankly, the American people are exhausted with this same old tired playbook.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
Excuse me. Every one of those cases was started by them against their political opponent.
Yep.
And I'm winning most of them and will win the rest on appeal. And you saw that with the decision that came down just recently from the Supreme Court. I'm winning most of them. But those are cases, it's called weaponization. Never happened in this country. They weaponized the Justice Department. Every one of those cases was involved with the DOJ, from Atlanta and Fani Willis to the Attorney General of New York and the DA in New York. Every one of those cases. And then they say, oh, he's a criminal. They're the ones that made them go after me. By the way, Joe Biden was found essentially guilty on the documents case. And what happened in my documents case? They said, oh, that's the toughest of them all. A complete and total victory. 2 months ago, it was thrown out. It's weaponization, and they used it, and it's never happened in this country. They used it to try and win an election. They're fake cases.
They should ask about Joe
Really
Biden.
quick response here, Vice President Harris, on this notion of weaponization of the Justice Department.
Well, let's talk about extreme and understand the context in which this election in 2024 is taking place. The United States Supreme Court recently ruled that the former president would essentially be immune from any misconduct if he were to enter the White House again.
About the rule of law.
Understand, this is someone who has openly said he would terminate, I'm quoting, terminate the Constitution of the United States, that he would weaponize the Department of Justice against his political enemies. Someone who has openly expressed disdain for members of our military. Understand what it would mean if Donald Trump were back in the White House with no guardrails, because certainly we know now the court won't stop him. We know J.D. Vance is not going to stop him. It's up to the American people
Vice President
to stop
Harris,
him.
Thank you. Lindsay?
Vice President Harris, in your last run for president.
This is the one that weaponized, not me. She weaponized. I probably took a bullet to the head because of the things that they say about me.
I cannot
they talk about democracy. I'm a threat to democracy. They're the threat to democracy. It was a fake Russia investigation that went nowhere.
We have a lot to get to. Lindsay?
Are they going to talk about that?
Harris, in your last run for president, you said you wanted to ban fracking.
I mean,
now
come on.
You don't. You wanted mandatory government buyback programs for assault weapons. Now your campaign says you don't. You supported decriminalizing border crossings. Now you're taking a harder line. I know you say that your values have not changed.
Why is she doing it? See how she's prefacing it for?
Policy positions changed?
So My values have not changed, and I'm going to discuss every one of at least every point that you've made. But in particular, let's talk about fracking because we're here in Pennsylvania. I made that very clear in 2020. I will not ban fracking.
I'm pulling them. Hey,
I
don't worry,
have not
man.
banned fracking as Vice President of the United States. And in
up.
fact, I was the
I got
tie-breaking
Northam up
vote
here.
on
I
the
got,
Inflation Reduction
Defund the
Act,
Police here.
which opened new leases
Just let me know what
for
you want me to
fracking.
pull up, and I'll get it.
My
Right.
position is that we have got to invest in diverse sources of energy so we reduce our reliance on foreign oil. We have had the largest increase in domestic oil production in history because of an approach that recognizes that we cannot over-rely on foreign oil. As it relates to my values, let me tell you, I grew up a middle-class kid raised by a hardworking mother who worked and saved and was able to buy our first home when I was a teenager. The values I bring to the importance of home ownership, knowing not everybody got handed $400 million on a silver platter and then filed bankruptcy 6 times, is a value that I bring to my work to say we are going to work with the private sector and home builders to increase 3 million homes, increase by 3 million homes by the end of my first term. My work that is related to having a friend when I was in high school who was sexually assaulted by her stepfather. And my focus then on protecting women and children from violent crime is based on a value that is deeply grounded in the importance of standing up for those who are most vulnerable. My work that is about protecting Social Security and Medicare is based on longstanding work that I have done, protecting seniors from scams. My values have not changed. And what is important is that there is a president who actually brings values and a perspective that is about lifting people up and not beating people down and name calling. The true measure of the leader is the leader who actually understands the strength is not in beating people down, it's in lifting people up. I intend to be that president.
President Trump, your response?
First of all, I wasn't given $400 million. I wish I was. My father was a Brooklyn builder, Brooklyn, Queens, and a great father, and I learned a lot from him. But I was given a fraction of that, a tiny fraction, and I built it into many, many billions of dollars, many, many billions. And when people see it, they are even surprised. So
yeah, but
we don't have to talk about that.
Fracking,
she's been against it for 12 years. Defund the police. She's been against that forever. She gave all that stuff up.
I got that one
very wrongly, very horribly, and everybody's laughing at it, okay? They're all laughing at it. She gave up at least 12 and probably 14 or 15 different policies. Like, she was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went out, wait a minute, I'm talking now, if you don't mind, please. Does that sound familiar? She went out in Minnesota and wanted to let criminals that killed people, that burned down Minneapolis, she went out and raised money to get them out of jail. She did things that nobody would ever think of. Now she wants to do transgender operations on illegal aliens that are in prison. This is a radical left liberal that would do this. She wants to confiscate your guns. She will never allow fracking in Pennsylvania. If she won the election, fracking in Pennsylvania will end on day one. Just to finish, one thing so important in my opinion. So I got the oil business going like nobody has ever done before. When they took over, they got rid of it, started getting rid of it, and the prices were going up the roof. They immediately let these guys go to where they were. I would have been 5 times, 4 times, 5 times higher because you're talking about 3.5 years ago. They got it up to where I was because they had no choice, because the prices of energy were quadrupling and doubling. You saw what happened to gasoline. So they said, let's go back to Trump. But if she won the election, the day after that election, they'll go back to destroying our country, and oil will be dead. Fossil fuel will be dead. We'll go back to windmills, and we'll go back to solar, where they need a whole desert to get some energy to come out. You ever see a solar plant? By the way, I'm a big fan of solar, but they take 400, 500 acres of desert soil. These are not good things for the environment, as she understands.
Thank you.
Lindsay, thank you. We have an election in just 56 days. And I want to talk about the peaceful transfer of power, which, of course, we all know is a cornerstone of our democracy, and the role of a president in a moment of crisis. Mr. President, on January 6th, you told your supporters to march to the Capitol. You said you would be right there with them. The country and the world saw what played out at the Capitol that day, the officers coming under attack. Aides in the West Wing say you watched it unfold on television off the Oval Office. You did send out tweets, but it was more than 2 hours before you sent out that video message telling your supporters to go home. Is there anything you regret about what you did on that day?
What you just said a thing that isn't covered. Peacefully and patriotically, I said during my speech, not later on.
Just ignore
peacefully and patriotically. And nobody on the other side was killed. Ashley Babbitt was shot by an out-of-control police officer that should have never, ever shot her.
He wasn't prosecuted.
It's a disgrace. But we didn't do this group of people that have been treated so badly. I ask, what about all the people that are pouring into our country and killing people that she allowed to pour in? She was the border czar, remember?
Come on, mention Jocelyn
She was the border czar. She doesn't want to be called the border czar because she's embarrassed by the border. In fact, she said at the beginning, oh, I'm surprised you're not talking about the border yet. That's because she knows what a bad job they've done. What about those people? When are they going to be prosecuted? When are these people from countries all over the world, not just South America, they're coming in from all over the world, David, all over the world. And crime rates are down all over the world because of it.
But let me just
when are those, David, when are those people going to be prosecuted? When are the people that burned down Minneapolis going to be prosecuted? Or in Seattle? They went into Seattle. They took over a big percentage of the city of Seattle. When are those people going to be prosecuted?
But let me just ask
you. You might ask her that question.
You were the president. You were watching it unfold on television. It's a very simple question as we move forward toward another election. Is there anything you regret about what you did on that day? Yes or no?
I had nothing to do with that other than they asked me to make a speech. I showed up for a speech. I said, I think it's going to be big. I went to Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of Washington, D.C., and the mayor put it back in writing, as you know. I said, you know, this is going to be a very big rally or whatever you want to call it. And again, it wasn't done by me. It was done by others. I said, I'd like to give you 10,000 National Guard or soldiers. They rejected me. Nancy Pelosi rejected me. It was just 2 weeks ago, her daughter has a tape of her saying she is fully responsible for what happened. They want to get rid of that tape. It would have never happened if Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of Washington did their jobs. I wasn't responsible for security. Nancy Pelosi was responsible. She didn't do her job.
The question was about you as president, not about former Speaker Pelosi. But I do want Vice President
He answered it.
I was at the Capitol on January 6th. I was the vice president-elect. I was also an acting senator. I was there. And on that day, the president of the United States incited a violent mob to attack our nation's capital, to desecrate our nation's capital. On that day, 140 law enforcement officers were injured, and some died.
No,
and understand,
I never heard of 140 law
former
enforcement
president has been indicted and impeached for exactly that reason. But this is not an isolated situation. Let's remember Charlottesville, where there was a mob of people carrying tiki torches,
and Terry McAuliffe, the governor, who's a Democrat, allowed that to happen.
The president then at the time say there were fine people on each side. Let's remember that when it came to the Proud Boys, a militia, the president said, the former president said, stand back and stand by. So for everyone watching who remembers what January 6th was, I say we don't have to go back. Let's not go back. We're not going back. It's time to turn the page. And if that was a bridge too far for you, well, there is a place in our campaign for you to stand for country, to stand for our democracy, to stand for rule of law.
She's not doing
and
bad.
To end the chaos.
She's just lying.
That's what I mean. She's lying good.
That is about attacking the foundations of our democracy because you don't like the outcome. And be clear on that point. Donald Trump, the candidate, has said in this election there will be a bloodbath if this and the outcome of this election is not to his liking. Let's turn the page on this.
They're
Let's
throwing
not go back.
He's throwing every
Let's
lie out
chart a
there.
course for the future and not go backwards to the past.
Let me just follow up here.
It was a different term, and it was a term that related to energy because they have destroyed our energy business. That was where bloodbath was. Also, on Charlottesville, that story has been, as you would say, debunked.
Yep.
Laura Ingraham, Sean Hannity, Jesse, all of these people, they covered it.
Even
if they
CNN
go an
debunked
extra
that.
sentence, they will see it was perfect. It was debunked in almost every newspaper, but they still bring it up, just like they bring 2025 up. They bring all of this stuff up.
He condemned the
I ask you
Nazis on
this, you
that
talk
speech.
about the Capitol. Why are we allowing these millions of people to come through on the southern border? How come she's not doing anything? And I'll tell you what I would do, and I would be very proud to do it. I would say we would both leave this debate right now. I'd like to see her go down to Washington, D.C. during this debate because we're wasting a lot of time. Go down to, because she's been so bad, it's so ridiculous. Go down to Washington, D.C. and let her sign a bill to close up the border because they have the right to do it. They don't need bills. They have the right to do it. The president of the United States, you'll get him out of bed, you'll wake him up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you'll say, come on down to the office and sign a bill. If he signs a bill that the border is closed, all he has to do is say it to the Border Patrol, who are phenomenal. If they do that, the border is closed.
Mr.
Those
President,
people are killing many people, unlike J6.
We talked immigration here tonight. I do want to focus on this next issue to both of you because it really brings us this into focus, truth in these times that we're living in. Mr. President, for 3.5 years after you lost the 2020 election, you repeatedly falsely claimed that you won, many times saying you won in a landslide. In the past couple of weeks leading up to this debate, you have said, quote, you lost by a whisker, that you, quote, didn't quite make it, that you came up a little bit short.
This is incredible.
I said that?
Are you now acknowledging that you lost?
Yeah,
in
Boogie, they can sign an
I said that
executive order.
sarcastically. You know that. It was said, oh, we lost by a whisker. That was said sarcastically. Look, there's so much proof. All you have to do is look at it. And they should have sent it back to the legislatures for approval. I got almost 75 million votes, the most votes any sitting president has ever gotten. I was told if I got 63, which was what I got in 2016, you can't be beaten. The election, people should never be thinking about an election as fraudulent. We need two things. We need walls, and we have to have it. We have to have borders, and we have to have good elections. Our elections are bad. And a lot of these illegal immigrants coming in, they're trying to get them to vote. They can't even speak English. They don't even know what country they're in practically. And these people are trying to get them to vote. And that's why they're allowing them to come into our country.
I did watch all of these pieces of video. I didn't detect the sarcasm, lost by a whisker. We didn't quite make it.
Wow.
And we should just point out here as clarification, and you know this,
Literally
you and your allies, 60 cases
lies.
In front of many judges, many of them
No
Republican,
judge looked at it.
and said
They said we didn't have standing. That's the other thing.
It's 100%
They said
true.
we didn't have standing, a technicality. Can you imagine a system where a person in an election doesn't have standing? The president of the United States doesn't have standing. That's how we lost. If you look at the facts, and I'd love to have you'll do a special on it. I'll show you Georgia, and I'll show you Wisconsin, and I'll show you Pennsylvania, and I'll show you. We have so many facts and statistics, but you know what? That doesn't matter because we have to solve the problem that we have right now. That's old news. And the problem that we have right now is we have a nation in decline, and they have put it into decline. We have a nation that is dying, David.
Mr. President, thank you. Vice President Harris, you heard the president there tonight. He said he didn't say that he lost by a whisker. So he still believes he did not lose the election that was won by President Biden and yourself. But I do want to ask you about something that's come up in the last couple of days. This was a post from President Trump about this upcoming election just weeks away. He said, when I win, those people who cheated, and then he lists donors, voters, election officials, he says will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
This is incredible.
Which will include long-term prison sentences. One of your campaign's top lawyers responded saying, we won't let Donald Trump intimidate us. We won't let him.
He's pontificating.
And is that what you believe he's trying to do here?
Donald Trump was fired by 81 million people.
They're trying to let her explain.
So let's be clear
Oh,
about
absolutely.
that. And clearly he is
They're
having a
feeding
very
her
difficult
a
time
narrative.
processing
Yeah,
that.
they're feeding a stupid
But
person
we
easy
cannot
answers.
afford to have a president
Well,
of
she's
the
not
United
stupid, but
States
she's
who attempts, as he did in the past, to upend the will of the voters in a free and fair election.
This is
And
unbelievable.
I'm going to tell you that I have traveled the world as Vice President of the United States. And world leaders are laughing at Donald Trump. I have talked with military leaders, some of whom worked with you, and they say you're a disgrace. And when you then talk in this way
he would be
in a
name
presidential debate and
throwing
deny
nasty insults.
what over and over again are court cases you have lost because you did in fact lose that election, it leads one to believe that perhaps we do not have in the candidate to my right the temperament or the ability to not be confused about fact. That's deeply troubling, and the American people deserve better.
Why is she in the
I'll
campaign?
give you 1 minute to
Talk
respond.
about
Mr.
Let me just
Biden.
say about world leaders. Viktor Orban, one of the most respected men, they call him a strong man. He's a tough person, smart. Prime Minister of Hungary. They said, why is the whole world blowing up? 3 years ago, it wasn't. Why is it blowing up? He said, because you need Trump back as president. They were afraid of him. China was afraid, and I don't like to use the word afraid, but I'm just quoting him. China was afraid of him. North Korea was afraid of him. Look at what's going on with North Korea, by the way. He said Russia was afraid of him. I ended the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, and Biden put it back on day one, but he ended the XL pipeline. The XL pipeline in our country, he ended that.
Yep.
But he let the Russians build a pipeline going all over Europe and heading
And
into
we started selling gas, buying gas from
the
them.
world.
Yep.
Look,
And then begged them for
Viktor
gas.
Orban said it. He said
Make it
the
make
most
sense.
respected, most feared person is Donald Trump. We had no problems when Trump was president, but when this weak, pathetic man that you saw at a debate just a few months ago, that if he weren't in that debate, he'd be running instead of her. She got no votes. He got 14 million votes. What you did, you talk about a threat to democracy. He got 14 million votes, and they threw him out of office.
Wow.
And you know what? I'll give you a little secret. He hates her. He can't stand her. But he got 14 million votes. They threw him out. She got 0 votes. And when she ran, she was the first one to leave because she failed. And now she's running. I don't understand it, but
Mr.
I'm
President,
okay with it
Mr.
because
President, your time
I
is up.
think we're
Thank
going to
you.
do very well.
We've got a lot more to get to.
Turning now
Yes.
to the Israel-Hamas war and the hostages who are still being
You
held,
notice how she
Americans
never
among
responds
them.
to something
Vice
he
President Harris
says.
in December,
This
you
is like
said,
it's all a
quote,
script
Israel has
for
a right
her.
to defend
Yeah.
itself, but you added, quote, it matters how, saying international humanitarian law must be respected. Israel must do more to protect innocent civilians. You said that 9 months ago. Now an estimated 40,000 Palestinians are dead. Nearly 100 hostages remain. Just last week, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said there's not a deal in the making. President Biden has not been able to break through the stalemate. How would you do it?
Yep.
Well,
Softball.
let's understand how we got here.
She's
On
going to explain
October
the problem.
7, Hamas, a terrorist organization,
Ooh, this is going to be bad for her on the
slaughtered
left.
1,200 Israelis.
Ooh.
Many of them young people who were simply attending a concert. Women were horribly raped. And so absolutely, I said then, I say now, Israel has a right to defend itself. We would. And how it does so matters.
She needs to be careful.
Because it is also true, far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed. Children, mothers. What we know is that this war must
She
end.
didn't specifically say
It must
Palestinian.
end immediately. And the way it will
Electors gonna
end is
hate
we need
that.
a ceasefire deal and we need the hostages out.
She's saying what we need,
And
but they
so
don't
we will
just do it.
continue to work around the clock on that. Work around the clock, also understanding that we must chart a course for a two-state solution. And in that solution, there must be security for the Israeli people and Israel, and in equal measure for the Palestinians. But the one thing I will assure you always, I will always give Israel the ability to defend itself, in particular as it relates to
What about
Iran
funding?
and any threat that Iran and its proxies pose to Israel. But we must have a two-state solution where we can rebuild Gaza, where the
She's
Palestinians
saying what needs
have
to happen,
security,
not answer the question.
self-determination,
How
and
do
the
you vote for
dignity
her
they
What
so
would you
rightly
do?
deserve.
She's saying this is what we
President
need to
Trump,
do.
how would you
But how do
negotiate
you
with
vote for her if you
Netanyahu
support
and also
Palestine?
Hamas in order to get the hostages out and
That's what
prevent the
she's-
killing
all the
of more
protesters are
innocent
about.
civilians in Gaza?
If I were president, it would have never started. If I were president, Russia would have never, ever, I know Putin very well, he would have never, and there was no threat of it either, by the way, for 4 years, have gone into Ukraine and killed millions of people when you add it up, far worse than people understand what's going on over there. But when she mentions about Israel, all of a sudden, she hates Israel. She wouldn't even meet with Netanyahu when he went to Congress to make a very important speech.
Oh, she did.
Refused to be there because she was at a sorority party.
That is
true.
Wow,
She wanted to go to the sorority party.
I forgot
She
about
hates
that.
Israel. If she's president, I believe that Israel will not exist within 2 years from now. And I've been pretty good at predictions, and I hope I'm wrong about that one. She hates Israel. At the same time, in her own way, she hates the Arab population because the whole place is going to get blown up. Arabs, Jewish people, Israel will be gone. It would have never happened. Iran was broke under Donald Trump. Now Iran has $300 billion because they took off all the sanctions that I had.
Yep.
Iran had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah or any of the 28 different spheres of terror. And they are spheres of terror, horrible terror. They had no money. It was a big story, and you know it. You covered it very well, actually. They had no money for terror. They were broke. Now they're a rich nation, and now what they're doing is they're spreading that money around.
The negotiations for
Look at what's happening with the Houthis and Yemen. Look at what's going on in the Middle East. This would have never happened. I will get that settled and fast, and I'll get the war with Ukraine and Russia ended. If I'm president-elect, I'll get it done before even becoming president.
Nice.
Vice President Harris, he says you hate Israel.
That's absolutely not true. I have my entire career and life supported Israel and the Israeli people. He knows
He's
that
making her say
he's trying
this
to,
for the
again,
Palestinian
divide
people.
and distract
people who support
from the
Palestine.
reality, which is it is very well known that Donald Trump is weak and wrong on national security and foreign policy. It is well known that he admires dictators, wants to be a dictator on day one, according to himself. It is well known that he said of Putin that he can do whatever the hell he wants and go into Ukraine. It is well known that he said when Russia went into Ukraine, it was brilliant. It is well known
because
he
y'all are in charge
exchanged
and it's
love
easy for them
letters
to
with
do.
Kim Jong-un. And it is
They've pushed
absolutely
back
well
on his
known
answers. They've yet
that
to do
these
that with her.
dictators
Not
and
even
autocrats
close.
are rooting for you to be president again because they're so clear. They can manipulate
saying he
you
prefers
with
her
flattery and favors.
winning.
And that is why so many military leaders who you have worked with have told me
She's only
you are
talking
a
about Mad Dog
disgrace.
Mattis, who Trump
That
fired
is
and said was an
why
idiot.
we understand that we have to have a president who is not consistently weak and wrong on
Vice
national
President
security,
Harris.
including the importance of upholding and respecting
Phoenix
in
Rising.
highest regard
He
our
literally
military.
waited
Vice
till
President
I'd
Harris,
gotten off.
thank you.
They're the ones, and she's the one that caused it. That's weak on national security by allowing every nation last month for the year, 168 different countries sending people into our country. Their crime rates are way down.
Get away from that.
Putin endorsed her last week.
He sure
Said,
did.
I hope she wins. And I think he meant it.
Video up, so I have
Because
it
what
ready.
he's gotten away with is absolutely incredible. It wouldn't have happened with me. The leaders of other countries think that they're weak and incompetent, and they are. They're grossly incompetent. And I just ask one question. Why does Biden go in and kill the Keystone Pipeline and approve the single biggest deal that Russia's ever made, Nord Stream 2, the biggest pipeline anywhere in the world going to Germany and all over Europe? Because they're weak and they're ineffective. And Biden, by the way,
President
gets paid
Trump,
a lot of money.
Thank you. We have a lot of issues to get
They
to.
always cut
Right
him
back
off.
with
at
much
the
more
only
of this
cut him off
historic
quick.
ABC News presidential debate from the National Constitution Center right here in Philadelphia. Back in a moment.
Well, I got 1, 2, 3, 4 tabs open so far. What do you think so far?
So the one that just caught me most recently was the one where she said that that Donald Trump said that it was that was a brilliant idea of Putin to go into Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
What they didn't catch, and why I don't know why these moderators didn't push back on it, was the fact that Trump was saying because they're so weak and
because of how weak they are.
Yeah, so it was a brilliant move. So what do you got?
Well, I have 4 tabs.
I will say she's doing a good job of distracting him.
Yes,
and she's getting fed those softball answers, and so they're making it easier for her. But yeah, go ahead. That's old blackface Ralph Northam from Virginia.
This is Northam, And if you read this, it talks about he's getting backlash over his comments supporting late-term abortion. I don't know if they're going to play it. It says this is horrific. Oh, this is the actual audio. So let's listen to it while we're waiting for them. Let's see if we can hear it. Crap, can you hear it?
No.
Why? Why can't we hear it?
Probably because they know you're streaming and they don't want you to. They don't want to fact. They don't want you to fact check them.
The sound is here. It should be playing right now. Well, this is the quote. The infant would be delivered. The infant would be kept comfortable. That's so nice of them. The infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and family desired. That's what he's saying. This is it right here. I will chat.
Oh.
Anyone wants to go watch?
You're in the Matrix, though.
Really? Huh.
So basically, I think Oderman, you're in the Matrix right now. But
okay.
But what Oderman's saying is basically this is factual what Ralph Northam was saying, and this is the reason why you guys are now hearing the term reproductive freedom from some of these so-called leaders like Kamala Harris, because you saw Donald Trump ask her a specific question about would she support late-term abortions, and she could not give a specific answer to that question. And that is strange.
You hear me?
You're going in and out.
So I guess we can't fact check, huh?
Hey, salute to you, Amber. Salute to you, Clara Booker, always standing on business. Salute to you, Mike. So
why is this happening right now?
Make sure you guys hit
the fact checking.
Come in. You out of the Matrix, bro?
I'm showing you the Matrix. Oh, what's going on? Excellent. Can you hear me?
So, hey, type one in the chat if you can hear Odom.
Interesting.
Oh, sorry about that, Claire. I had to end my live, so I had to end up. So I ended up coming over here with Odom Speaks to do mine. But because we were trying to merge them, we weren't able to. But if you guys are enjoying, like I said, what we're doing, like I said, we're giving that honest feedback. So we already talked about 2 fact checks. Fact check number 1: Donald Trump did say it was a brilliant idea that she went into that Putin went into Ukraine because Joe Biden was so weak. Fact check number 2: Ralph Northam of Virginia did factually support late-term abortions, and that's something that the Democrats have kind of stood on, and they've not made a position. That's why they're going to reproductive freedom. So another fact is that Joe Biden did destroy the Keystone Pipeline, but then supported Russia, who I guess now we got a problem with, and then we started buying oil from Russia until I guess we weren't supposed to buy oil from them anymore. Okay, so those are 3 facts that I just saw pointed clearly. Type 1 in the chat if you guys can hear me. Are you guys able to hear me clearly? Or am I in the Matrix too? Hell no, Just Jay. They don't want this brother fact checking. So no, that was by design. So I'm gonna pick it up right now while O try to get it fixed.
Arguing that if Putin wins, he may be emboldened to move even further into other countries. You had said you would solve this war in 24 hours. You said so just before the break tonight. How exactly would you do that? And I want to ask you a very simple question tonight.
So they're asking Donald Trump, how would he solve the war?
I want the war to stop. I want to save lives that are being uselessly, people being killed by the millions. It's the millions. It's so much worse than the numbers that you're getting, which are fake numbers. Look, we're in for 250 billion or more because they don't ask Europe, which is a much bigger beneficiary to getting this thing done than we are. They're in for $150 billion less because Biden and you don't have the courage to ask Europe like I did with NATO. They paid billions and billions, hundreds of billions.
He just called them out for spending billions of dollars in Ukraine while the European countries are spending a lot less. That's facts.
But you take a look at what's happening. We're in for 250 to 275 billion. They're into 100 to 150. They should be forced to equalize. With that being said, I want to get the war settled. I know Zelensky very well, and I know Putin very well. I have a good relationship, and they respect your president, okay? They respect me. They don't respect Biden. How would you respect him? Why? For what reason? He hasn't even made a phone call in 2 years to Putin.
Yes,
Hasn't spoken to
All
him.
right.
They don't even try to get it.
No, it's okay. I held it down.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Question. Do you believe it's in the U.S. best war, yes or no?
I think it's the U.S. best interest to get this war finished and just get it done.
All right.
Negotiate a deal because we have to stop all of these human lives from being destroyed.
I want to take this to Vice President Harris. I want to get your thoughts on support for Ukraine in this moment, but also as Commander-in-Chief, if elected, how would you deal with Vladimir Putin, and would it be any different from what we're seeing from President Biden?
Well, first of all, it's important to remind the former president, you're not running against Joe Biden, you're running against me. I believe that Donald Trump says that this war...
She's hoping that's going to be like a national moment right there.
Yeah.
And that's not who we are as Americans. Let's understand what happened here. I actually met with Zelensky a few days before Russia invaded, tried through force to change territorial boundaries, to defy one of the most important international rules and norms, which is the importance of sovereignty and territorial integrity. And I met with President Zelensky. I shared with him American intelligence about how he could defend himself. Days later, I went to NATO's eastern flank, to Poland and Romania. And through the work that I and others did, we brought 50 countries together to support Ukraine in its righteous defense. And because of our support, because of the air defense, the ammunition, the artillery, the javelins, the Abrams tanks that we have provided, Ukraine stands as an independent and free country. If Donald Trump were president, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv right now. And understand what that would mean, because Putin's agenda is not just about Ukraine. Understand why the European allies and our NATO allies are so thankful that you are no longer president, and that we understand the importance of the greatest military alliance the world has ever known, which is NATO, and what we have done to preserve the ability of Zelensky and the Ukrainians to fight for their independence. Otherwise, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv with his eyes on the rest of Europe, starting with Poland. And why don't you tell the 800,000 Polish Americans right here in Pennsylvania how quickly you would give up for the sake of favor and what you think is a friendship with what is known to be a dictator who would eat you for lunch.
Vice President Harris, thank you. We've heard from both of you on Ukraine tonight. Afghanistan came up in the last hour. I wanted her to respond to something you said earlier. And
they're not going to allow him to respond?
I'll give you a minute here.
Thank you.
Putin would be sitting in Moscow, and he wouldn't have lost 300,000 men and women, but he would have been sitting in Moscow. Quiet, please. He would have been sitting in Moscow, much happier than he is right now. But eventually, you know, he's got a thing that other people don't have. He's got nuclear weapons. They don't ever talk about that. He's got nuclear weapons. Nobody ever thinks about that. And eventually, maybe he'll use them, and maybe he hasn't been that threatening, but he does have that. Something we don't even like to talk about. Nobody likes to talk about it. But just so you understand, they sent her to negotiate peace before this war started. 3 days later, he went in and he started the war because everything they said was weak and stupid. They said the wrong things.
Offered him
that
NATO.
war should have never started. She was the emissary. They sent her in to negotiate with Zelensky and Putin, and she did. And the war started 3 days later. And that's the kind of talent we have with her. She's worse than Biden. In my opinion, I think he's the worst president in the history of our country. She goes down as the worst vice president in the history of our country. But let me tell you something. She is a horrible negotiator. They sent her in to negotiate. As soon as they left, Putin did the invasion.
President Trump,
that's
you did bring up
factual.
something.
It's
You said she went to
100%
negotiate
fact.
with Vladimir Putin. Vice President Harris, have you ever met Vladimir Putin? Can you clarify tonight?
Yet again, I said it at the beginning of this debate, you're going to hear a bunch
He's
of lies
trying to
coming
help
from
her.
this fella.
He
And that
did.
is another one. When I went to meet with President Zelensky, I've now met with him over 5 times. The reality is it has been about standing as America always should, as a leader
Oh my
upholding
God. She's still not
international
answering, so she doesn't have
rules
to answer
and
anything.
norms, as a leader
Is what I'm
who
getting.
shows strength, understanding that the alliances we have around the world are dependent on our ability to look out for our friends and not favor our enemies because
$250
you
billion
adore
worth of looking
strongmen
out.
instead of caring about democracy. And that is very much what is at stake here. The President of the United States is commander-in-chief, and the American people have a right to rely on a president who understands
Then
the
let him run again.
significance of America's role and responsibility in terms of ensuring that there is stability and ensuring we stand
I wonder why
up
she
for
didn't
our
answer that
principles
question,
and
because he
not
kind of
sell
tossed
them
it up
for
like,
the,
you know,
for
like
the
to say
benefit
he
of
never met
personal
Putin.
flattery.
Why
We
did she
talked
just
about
say
Ukraine and Vladimir Putin. I do want to
Yeah.
talk about Afghanistan. It came up in the first hour of this
It's
debate.
interesting.
I want to move on to Afghanistan.
Stoltenberg said Trump did the most amazing thing I've ever seen. He got these countries, the 28 countries at the time, to pay up. He said, I've never seen. He's the head of NATO. He said, I've never seen. For years, we were paying almost all of NATO. We were being ripped off by European
Like over
nations, both on
70%.
trade and on NATO. I
thought
got
it was
them to pay up
90%.
by saying one of the statements
No,
you
that's
made
the
before.
UN. We're
If you
paying
don't
90%
pay,
of UN.
we're not going to protect you.
President
Otherwise,
Trump.
we would have never gotten it. He said it was one of the most incredible jobs that he's ever seen done.
Thank you. I want to turn to Afghanistan. It came up in the first hour of the debate, and we witnessed a poignant moment today on
Finally.
Capitol Hill, honoring the soldiers who died in the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan. I do want to ask the Vice President, do you believe you bear any responsibility in the way that withdrawal played out?
Finally, a real question.
Well, I will
Appreciate
tell
it.
you, I agreed with President Biden's decision to pull out of Afghanistan. 4 presidents said they would, and Joe Biden did. And as a result, America's taxpayers are not paying the $300 million a day
They
we were
left
paying
all of
for that
our
endless
military
war.
equipment.
And as of today, there is not one member of the United States military who is in active duty in a combat zone in
The
any
13
war zone
died.
around the world, the first time this century.
I know, right?
But let's understand how we got to where we are. Donald Trump, when he
And
was
more
president,
Americans died.
negotiated one of the
we're
weakest
still doing
deals you
drone
can imagine.
strikes.
He calls himself a deal maker. Even his national security advisor said it was a weak, terrible deal. And here's how it went down. He bypassed the Afghan government. He negotiated directly with a terrorist organization called the Taliban.
That's who you
The
left the
negotiation
country
involved
to.
the Taliban getting 5,000
have
terrorists,
to renegotiate, I
Taliban
guess.
terrorists
The Taliban
released.
is in
And
control
get this,
of
no, get
Afghanistan
this.
right now, right?
Exactly.
And
Yes.
the president at the time invited the Taliban to Camp David, a place
They begged
of
the Taliban not
storied
to kill any
significance for
people
us as
until we got
Americans,
out.
a place where we
That was their
honor
negotiation.
the importance of American diplomacy, where we invite and receive respected world leaders. And this former president, as president, invited them to Camp David because he does not again appreciate the role and responsibility of the President of the United States to be commander-in-chief with a level of respect. And this gets back to the point of
Wasn't
how
the
he has
question,
consistently
does she bear
disparaged
any
and demeaned
responsibility?
members of
Yeah.
our military,
But she's still going
fallen
on.
soldiers, and the work that we must do to
Well, I
uphold
mean,
the
she didn't bear
strength
And they're
responsibility.
allowing her to do
respect
this.
of the
She
United
didn't
States
bear
of America
responsibility
around
to
the
Jamal
world.
True
Vice
Love
President
either.
Harris,
So I
thank
mean,
you.
what do you
President Trump,
expect?
your response to her saying that you began the negotiations
thank
with the
you.
Taliban.
That wasn't an
So-
answer to your question, dude.
If you take a look at that period of time, the Taliban was killing our soldiers, a lot of them, with snipers. And I got involved with the Taliban because the Taliban was doing the killing. That's the fighting force within Afghanistan. They don't bother doing that because, you know, they deal with the wrong people all the time. But I got involved. And Abdul is the head of the Taliban. He
That's
is
the one he
still the head
threatened.
of the Taliban. And I told
Yeah, that's
Abdul,
when he
don't
said he'd
do it
kill
anymore.
them.
Yep.
You do it anymore, you're going to have problems. And he said, why do you send me a picture of my house? I said, you're going to have to figure that out, Abdul. And for 18 months, we had
That's what he
nobody
did.
killed. We did have an agreement negotiated by Mike Pompeo. It was a very good agreement. The reason it was good, it was we were getting out. We would have been out faster than them, but we wouldn't have lost the soldiers. We wouldn't have left many Americans behind, and we wouldn't have left.
Facts,
We wouldn't have
Peter.
left $85 billion worth of brand new, beautiful military equipment behind. And just to finish, they blew it. The agreement said you have to do this, and they didn't do it. They didn't do it. The agreement was terminated by us because they didn't do what they were supposed to do.
I want to move
And
on.
these people did the worst withdrawal, and in my opinion, the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. And by the way, that's why Russia attacked Ukraine,
Yep.
because they saw how incompetent she and her boss are.
President Trump,
Her
thank you.
boss is great. That's a great
I want to move
line.
on now to race and politics in this country.
Oh, boy, here
Mr.
we
President,
go.
you recently said of Vice President Harris, quote,
I
I
told
didn't
you what
know
I
she was
predicted."
black until a
Yeah.
number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. I want to ask a bigger picture
They're
question.
setting
here
her
tonight.
up again for
Why
one
do
of
you
her
believe it's
moments.
appropriate to weigh in on the racial identity of your
Joe
opponent?
Biden.
I don't,
weighed
and I
in
don't
on
care.
race appropriate.
I don't care what she is. I don't care. You make a big deal out of something. I couldn't care less. Whatever she wants to be is okay with me.
But those were your words. So I'm
I don't
asking,
know. I don't know. I mean, all I can say is I read where she was not black that she put out, and I'll say that. And then I read that she was black, and that's okay. Either one was okay with me. That's up to her. That's up to her.
Vice President Harris, your thoughts on this?
They set her up for a speech.
I think it's, I mean, honestly, I think it's a
This is your moment,
tragedy
Kamala.
that
Tell
we
everybody
have,
you're black.
someone who wants to be president, who has
Tell everybody you're black.
consistently, over the course of his
Are
career,
you black,
Everybody
lady?
You're black.
attempted to use race to divide the American people.
Do it for the black
You
people.
know, I do believe that the vast majority of us know that
Are
we
you
have so
black?
much more in common than what separates
you
us, and we don't
black?
want
I wish I
Come
could
on,
type
this
over
kind
the
of
screen and just
approach
put,
that
"Are
is just
you black?"
constantly trying to
This is
divide
all
us,
you
and
have to
especially by
do.
race. And let's
She
remember
won't answer.
She won't
how
just say
Donald
I'm a
Trump
proud
started.
black
He was
woman.
a
What black
land,
woman
he
wouldn't say
owned
it's silly?
land,
Of
he
course
owned
I'm
What black
black.
woman
buildings,
would say they're a black
and
woman?
Yep.
he was investigated because
She's talking
he
about
refused to
investigations.
rent property to black families.
Okay, what about
Let's
you? Are
remember,
you
this
black?
is the same individual who took out a full-page ad in the New York Times
Central Park.
calling for
Wow.
the execution of 5 young Black and Latino boys who were innocent, the Central Park 5.
Now let's talk about Jamal True Love.
Took out a full-page ad calling for their execution.
Now let's talk about
This
Cherie
is the
Peoples.
same
Go ahead.
individual
Come on, Kamala.
This is
who
unbelievable.
spread birther lies about the first Black president of the
Okay,
United
what about
States.
you, lady?
And I think the American people want better than that, want better than
Okay.
this,
So are you black?
want someone who understands,
you-
as
are
I
you-
do, I travel our country.
So
We
is that a
see
yes?
in each other a friend.
My wife
We
just
see
had
in
enough
each
of
other
it.
a neighbor.
Is that
We
a
don't
no?
want a leader who is constantly
I wish he was
trying
black,
to have
so-
Americans
black
point their fingers at each other. I meet with people all the time who tell me,
She still hasn't said
can we
it.
please just have discourse about how we're going to invest in the aspirations and the ambitions and the dreams of the American
is that
people?
a yes?
Knowing that regardless of people's color or the language their grandmother speaks,
She
we
won't say
all
it.
have the same dreams and aspirations and want a president who invests in those, not in hate and division.
Vice President Harris.
She
Thank you.
failed.
Lindsay?
President
never
Trump,
said
this is
yes.
now your 3rd time.
This is the most divisive presidency in the history of our country. There's never been anything like it. They're destroying our country, and they come up with things like what she just said. Going back many, many years, when a lot of people, including Mayor Bloomberg, agreed with me on the Central Park Five, they admitted, they said they pled guilty.
Exactly.
And I said, well, if they pled guilty, they badly hurt a person, killed a person ultimately. And if they pled guilty, then they pled, we're not guilty. But this is a person that has to stretch back years, 40, 50 years ago.
What about now?
Because there's nothing now. I built one of the greatest economies in the history of the world, and I'm going to build it again. It's going to be bigger, better, and stronger. But they're destroying our economy. They have no idea what a good economy is. Their oil policies, every single policy. And remember this, she is Biden. You know, she's trying to get away from Biden. I don't know the gentleman, she says. She is Biden.
Great
the
connection.
worst inflation we've ever had, a horrible economy because inflation has made it so
I
bad.
will give them credit, though.
And
They
she can't
are
get away
letting
with
him
that.
go off when he actually responds.
Yeah.
I want to just respond briefly. Clearly, I am not Joe Biden,
Oh, here
and
she
I
is
am
with the
certainly
bad
not
humor.
Donald
But your
Trump.
policies are.
And what I do offer is a new generation of leadership for our country. One who believes
She's 60.
in what is possible, one who brings a sense of optimism about what we can do
This is how
instead
we
of always
feel.
disparaging the American people. I believe in what we can do to strengthen our small businesses, which is why I have a plan. Let's talk about our plans.
I thought she was. Come on. They got to cut out that
then
she's not
let's compare
responding
the
to what he
plans.
said.
I want
have
to
a
say this, though.
plan
I do think she
to
is
give
sober
startup
in this
businesses
debate.
$50,000 tax
They hid
deduction
her flask from her.
to pursue their ambitions, their innovation, their ideas, their hard work. I have a plan, $6,000 for young families for
She
the
said she was
first
going
year
to
of your
respond to what he
child's
said, and
life
she's not.
to
She's
help
clearly not
you
responding.
in that most critical stage of your child's development. I have a plan
If you
that
allow
is
them
about
to develop.
allowing people to be able to pursue what has been fleeting in terms of the American dream by offering a help with down payment of $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers.
This is unbelievable.
That's the kind of conversation, I believe, David, that people really want tonight, as opposed to a conversation that is constantly about belittling and name-calling.
He hasn't even done that. She's done that.
Vice President
move
Harris,
forward.
thank you. Let's turn to policy.
President
Let's
Trump,
turn back
we
to
have
policy.
to move on. President Trump,
Let's turn to policy,
She has
please.
a plan to defund the police. She has a plan
I have that
to
tab open,
confiscate
people. So as soon as this is
everybody's
over, I'm
gun.
going to show
President
you.
Trump,
She
we
has
do
a
have to
plan
move
to
on to
not
other
allow
issues.
fracking in Pennsylvania or anywhere else.
Okay.
Thank you,
That's
Mr.
what her
President.
plan is until just recently.
I just need
Lindsey,
to
go ahead.
respond.
No,
because
Trump,
the
President
former
Trump.
president has
No,
said
I'm
something
sorry.
twice that I need to
No,
respond to.
I'm sorry. We're
I
gonna
just need to
move
respond
on, Vice
one
President
time
Harris.
to what he has
President
said.
Cut her
Trump,
off.
this is now
Do
your
it.
third time
Look at
running
Donald
for
Trump just-
president. You have long vowed to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare.
He
You
got
have
rid of the
failed to
mandate. That's all he
accomplish
wanted
that.
to do.
You now say you're going to keep Obamacare, quote, unless we can do something much better.
His
Last
issue's always
month,
been
you
the
said,
mandate.
quote, we're working on it. So tonight, 9 years after you first started running,
is she
do you
talking
have a
about
plan?
Obamacare?
And can you tell us
In
what it is?
2024?
Obamacare was lousy health care, always was. It's not very good today. And what I said, that if we come up with something, and we are working on things, we're going to do it and we're going to replace it. But remember this, I inherited Obamacare because Democrats wouldn't change it. They wouldn't vote for it. They were unanimous. They wouldn't vote to change it. If they would have done that, we would have had a much better plan than Obamacare. But the Democrats came up, they wouldn't vote for it. I had a choice to make when I was president. Do I save it and make it as good as it can be, never going to be great, or do I let it rot? And I felt I had an obligation, even though politically it would have been good to just let it rot and let it go away. I decided, and I told my people, the top people, and they're very good people. I have a lot of good people in that administration. We read about the bad ones. We had some real bad ones too, and so do they. They have really bad ones. The difference is they don't get rid of them. But let me just explain. I had a choice to make. Do I save it and make it as good as it can be, or do I let it rot? And I saved it. I did the right thing. But it's still never going to be great, and it's too expensive for people. And what we will do is we're looking at different plans. If we can come up with a plan that's going to cost our people, our population, less money and be better health care than Obamacare, then I would absolutely do it. But until then, I'd run it as good as it can be run.
So just yes or no, you still do not have a plan.
Yeah.
I have concepts of a plan. I'm not
It's
president
too
right
big to
now.
just
But
overrun
if
or
we come up
overthrow,
with
'cause it got
something, I would
passed.
only change it if we come up with something that's better and less expensive. And there are concepts and options we have to do that. And you'll be hearing about it in the not too distant future.
Vice President Harris, in 2017, you supported Bernie Sanders' proposal to do away with private insurance and create a government-run healthcare system. 2 years later, you proposed a plan that included a private insurance option. What is your plan today?
Well, first of all, I absolutely support, and over the last 4 years as vice president, private healthcare options. But what we need to do is maintain and grow the
See,
Affordable Care Act.
she
But
says what we need
I'll
to
get
do,
to that,
not
Lindsay. I
what
just
she
need to
would
respond
do.
to a previous
Or
point
not what she
that
can
the former
do.
president
Yes,
has
not
made.
what she's
I've
going
made
to
very
do.
clear my position on fracking. And then this business about taking everyone's guns away. Tim Walz and I are both gun owners. We're not taking anybody's guns away. So
That woman
stop
did not
with the
know I
continuous
saw
lying
a
about this
gun.
stuff.
All right, let me pull up.
Such a
As it
lie.
relates to the Affordable Care Act, understand, just look at the history to know where people stand. When Donald Trump was president, 60 times he tried to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. 60 times. I was a senator at the time when I will never forget the early morning hours when it was up for a vote in the United States Senate. And the late, great John McCain, who you have disparaged as being, you don't like him, you said at the time, because he got
John
caught.
McCain
He was an
disparaged
American
him.
hero. The late, great John McCain, I will never forget that night.
They called that
Walked
man
onto
a
the
war
Senate
criminal,
floor
and now she's saying the
said,
late great.
no, you
John
don't.
McCain.
They
No, you don't.
disrespected
No, you
John
don't
McCain
get rid
in
of the Affordable
2008
Care Act.
so
You have
bad.
no
They
plan.
made fun of the
Ran for president.
And
appearance
what the
that he got
Affordable
from
Care
being a
Act has done is
POW.
eliminate the ability of insurance companies to deny people with pre-existing conditions. I don't have to tell the people watching tonight, you remember what that was like? Remember when an insurance company could deny if a child had asthma, if someone was a breast cancer survivor, if a grandparent had diabetes? And thankfully, as I've been vice president and we over the last 4 years have strengthened the Affordable Care Act, we have allowed for the first time Medicare to negotiate drug prices on behalf of you, the American people. Donald Trump said he was going to allow Medicare to negotiate drug prices. He never did. We did. And now we have capped the cost of insulin at $35 a month.
That's
Since
his?
I've been
Oh
vice
my
president,
God.
we have capped the cost of prescription medication for seniors at $2,000 a year. And when I am president, we will do that for all people, understanding that the value I bring to this is that access to health care should be a right and not just a privilege of those who can afford it. And the plan has to be to strengthen the Affordable Care Act, not get rid of it.
Vice
Pass this
President
prologue
Harris,
in
thank
terms
you.
of where Donald Trump stands on
But
I
that.
want to
Trump
move
said
to an
shut
issue
up.
that's important for a
She
lot
made a
of
mistake. Number one, John McCain fought Obamacare for 10 years.
Yep.
But it wasn't only him. It were all of the Democrats that kept it going. And you know what? We can do much better than Obamacare, much less money. But she won't improve private insurance for people, private medical insurance. That's another thing she doesn't want to get.
President
People
Trump.
are paying privately for insurance that have worked hard and made money, and they want to have private. She wants everybody to be on government insurance where you wait 6 months for an operation that you need immediately.
President Trump, thank you. We have another issue that we'd like to get to that's important for a number of Americans, in particular younger voters, and that's climate change. President Trump, with regard to the environment, you say that we have to have clean air and clean water. Vice President Harris, you call climate change an existential threat. The question to you both tonight is, what would you do to fight climate change? And Vice President Harris, we'll start with you. 1 minute for you each.
Well, the former president had said the climate change is a hoax. And what we know is that it is very real. You ask anyone who lives in a state who has experienced these extreme weather occurrences, who now is either being denied home insurance or it's being jacked up. You ask anybody who has been the victim of what that means in terms of losing their home, having nowhere to go. We know that we can actually deal with this issue. The young people of America care deeply about this issue. And I am proud that as vice president over the last 4 years, we have invested $1 trillion in a clean energy economy while we have also increased domestic gas production to historic levels. We have created over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs while I have been vice president. We have invested in clean energy to the point that we are opening up factories around the world. Donald Trump said he was going to create manufacturing jobs. He lost manufacturing jobs.
Divided by 48
and I'm
million.
also proud to have the endorsement of the United Auto Workers and Sean Fain, who also know that part of building a clean energy economy includes investing in American-made products, American automobiles. It includes growing what we can do around American manufacturing and opening up auto plants, not closing them like happened under Donald Trump.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
Everything closed.
Donald Trump. Let me just tell you, they lost 10,000 manufacturing jobs this last month. It's going, they're all leaving. They're building big auto plants in Mexico, in many cases owned by China. They're building these massive plants, and they think they're going to sell their cars into the United States because of these people. What they have given to China is unbelievable. But we're not going to let that. We'll put tariffs on those cars so they can't come into our country, because they will kill the United Auto Workers and any auto worker, whether it's in Detroit or South Carolina or any other place. What they've done to business and manufacturing in this country is horrible. We have nothing because they refuse. You know, Biden doesn't go after people because supposedly China paid him millions of dollars. He's afraid to do it. Between him and his son, they get all this money from Ukraine. They get all this money from all of these different countries. And then you wonder, why is he so loyal to this one, that one, Ukraine, China? Why is he? Why did he get $3.5 million from the mayor of Moscow's wife? Why did she pay him $3.5 million? This is a crooked administration, and they're selling our country down the tubes.
President Trump, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with closing statements from both of our candidates. An historic night, this ABC News presidential debate from Philadelphia. Back in a moment.
See if they knock me out.
So, how do you think Kamala is doing?
I think she's doing better than I thought she was doing, but it's only because the moderators are allowing her to just flat out lie. And I mean, flat out lie.
They're playing baseball with Trump and softball with Kamala.
Exactly. Were you guys able to see this earlier? I really want
the sound didn't come up though.
And it's still not coming up. What is going on here? Well, I shared the link. I'm gonna share it again. This is incredible. But I don't know if you guys could hear me when I was reading. Did you guys hear me when I was reading this?
I broke it down.
Okay, perfect. So I
everything as far as what it was about.
Right,
so living in Virginia at that time, that guy was an embarrassment. He's the one that went national. So this is when I stopped trusting like a lot of black folks on race who are panderers. He's the one that made it national about wearing blackface. He was the governor wearing blackface, and all these people like Al Sharpton and everybody else, they defended him. Yep,
they act like it was no big deal.
And he even went and moonwalked for people to show he wasn't a racist. I'm not lying, brother.
So it was either him and I think it was either a Nazi or KKK clothes. That nobody ever said which one it was. But either way, you lose.
It was KKK or blackface.
That's what it was. Yeah.
And
they completely dismissed it. So here's the other thing that Trump said that she lied about. She absolutely. This is CNN praised defund the police. It's not even debatable. And they're saying where she stands now, meaning she changed her position. It's a fact. Vice President Harris voiced support for defund the police in a radio interview in 2020. Not only that, she helped people. What he said when he said she helped people get out during the Black Lives Matter riots, she absolutely did.
Yeah, absolutely.
She did commercials for them. So
while they're shooting guns, ordering people back into their homes because of COVID, they're bailing people out who were burning down businesses in Minneapolis.
Yep. So it's 100% facts that she did, in fact, praise and defund the police, and she supported it. Let's see what's going on over here. Okay, it still hasn't come back. All right, now let's move over to this one. I figured out how to just slide over in the things. Kamala Harris reverses earlier anti-fracking stance and no longer supports the ban, which means she supported getting rid of fracking. She said it. She said it. This is her. So watching her lie right now on stage and they're not saying anything is pretty incredible. This is the January 6th. She said that, I don't know if you guys can see this, almost 10 dead, includes 5 police officers.
Yeah,
the police
she said
died.
over 140 officers were injured.
Well, yeah, hers is ridiculous. I don't know where she got that number from. That's just not true. But
She
this
really
is how the
trying to be
police
like Trump.
actually died. A stroke victim and suicides.
Mhm.
This is their fact checks. This is factcheck.org. This is their people. This is the left. 4 suicides. 4 other officers committed suicides in the days or months after January 6th. It had nothing to do with it. They cannot tie this to the actual event. So what they're doing is anybody who died or committed suicide, they say it's because of January 6th.
Yeah, the COVID deaths. That's what they did with COVID. They tied anything they could do with COVID.
Absolute lies. Yep. Absolute lies. So, I mean, I don't know how they're allowing her to just sit there and keep lying like this, but it is what it is. Let's look at the next lie. Can you see this one? The reading of the bill of H.R. 8296 permits abortion up until delivery, but only if it's deemed necessary to protect the life of a patient. That's always been the case. They didn't have to specify that. It's always been the case. If you're saving the woman's life, you absolutely can do it. She made it sound like doctors are going to let a woman die if she's in a situation to where the doctor has to make the decision between their law license and aborting. It just doesn't happen. It's never happened. So once again, she's lying. Do I have time for one more? I don't. All right.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think. I covered a couple of. You are way ahead of me on time with the debate because.
Oh, am I?
I'm still looking at this commercial with Rick Scott, but all right.
Harris, we begin with you.
So I think you've heard tonight 2 very different
they're doing
visions
final?
for our
That's
country. One that is focused on the future, and the other that is focused on the past, and an attempt to take us backward. But we're not going back. And I do believe that the American people know we all have so much more in common than what separates us. And we can chart a new way forward. And a vision of that includes having a plan, understanding the aspirations, the dreams, the hopes, the ambition of the American people, which is why I intend to create an opportunity economy, investing in small businesses, in new families,
zones, maybe?
in what we can do around protecting seniors, what we can do that is about giving hardworking folks a break and bringing down the cost of living.
Damn,
I believe
Gina.
in what we can do together. That is about sustaining America's standing in the world and ensuring that we have the respect that we so rightly deserve, including respecting our military and ensuring we have the most lethal fighting force in the world.
In Syria.
I will be a president that will protect our fundamental rights and freedoms, including the right of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do.
That's what the states are
I'll tell you,
supposed to do.
I started my career as a prosecutor. I was a DA,
Yeah,
I was an
Jamal
attorney
Trulove
general,
knows you
a
did.
United States senator, and now vice president. I've only had one client, the people.
Oh,
and I'll tell you, as a prosecutor, I never asked
And Willie
a
Brown.
victim or a
got
witness,
a video
are you
on
a
Willie Brown
Republican
on
or a
place.
Democrat? The only thing
got a
I
good
ever
one.
asked them, are you okay?
Have you seen it?
And
The
that's
one
the
I'm
kind
talking
of
No, I
about?
didn't
president
see
we
that
Well,
yet.
you would
need
know
right
right now if
Someone
just
who
from me saying
cares
that, you would
about
know.
you and is not putting themselves first. I intend to be a president for all Americans and focus on what we can do over the next
American
10 and
Republicans.
20 years
I'd
to
say except
build
those
back
MAGA
up our
people.
country by
Uh-huh.
investing right now in you, the American people.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump?
So she just started by saying she's going to do this, she's going to do that, she's going to do
Why
all
is
these
it
wonderful
Thank you, Donald.
things. Why hasn't she done it? She's
Thank
been
you.
there for 3.5 years. They've had 3.5 years
Thank
to
you.
fix the border. They've
Thank
had
you.
3.5 years to create jobs and all the things we talked about. Why hasn't
Thank you.
she done it? She should
Phenomenal.
leave right now, go down to that beautiful White House, go to the Capitol, get everyone together and do the things you want to do, but you haven't done it and you won't
Thank
do
you.
it because you believe in things that the American people don't believe in. You believe in things like We're not going to frack. We're not going to take fossil fuel. We're not going to do things that are going to make this country strong, whether you like it or not. Germany tried that, and within 1 year, they were back to building normal energy plants. We're not ready for it. We can't sacrifice our country for the sake of bad vision. But I just ask one simple question. Why didn't she do it?
Yep.
We're a failing nation. We're a nation that's in serious decline. We're being laughed at all over the world. All over the world, they're laughed. I know the leaders very well. They're coming to see me. They call me. We're laughed at all over the world. They don't understand what happened to us as a nation. We're not a leader. We don't have any idea what's going on. We have wars going on in the Middle East. We have wars going on with Russia and Ukraine. We're going to end up in a third world war, and it'll be a war like no other because of nuclear weapons, the power of weaponry. I rebuilt our entire military. Yep. She gave a lot of it away to the Taliban. She gave it to Afghanistan. What these people have done to our country, and maybe toughest of all, is allowing millions of people to come into our country. Many of them are criminals, and they're destroying our country. The worst president, the worst vice president in the history of our country.
President Trump, thank you. And that is our ABC News presidential debate from here in Philadelphia at the National.
Anyone in the inner city is going to feel that part about the illegal immigration.
All over the world and from
and the 30% of the bourgeoisie, if we talk about the black folks, are going to be inspired by her standing up to the bully.
Yeah,
so
they're going to push that too.
Yeah, they're gonna push it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day,
go ahead.
No, I was reading what you had.
Oh, I was just putting Walz's his new rating from the NRA went from an A to an F because she said that they weren't against taking guns, which is absolutely false.
Yeah,
absolutely false. Everything she said was a lie, but she was being fed, like you said. They were just lobbing him to her and setting her up for her moments.
One of the things that stood out to me was I really don't understand why they asked for clarity with Donald Trump with what he said about her not being black.
Yep.
But they did not ask for clarity when Donald Trump asked her, would she ban abortion or would she support banning abortions? That's what it was. They asked Donald Trump about his abortion stance and they asked for clarity, but then they didn't ask for clarity from her. So that it didn't,
because they had to move on. They had to move on.
Yeah, I don't think they did a terrible job. It could have been worse. I've seen worse. Megyn Kelly was worse. So
she definitely was, because she was combative.
Yeah.
So the only reason why I say they did a terrible job is because even when they asked good questions, they allowed her to bloviate. They didn't bring her back. Mm-hmm. But when Trump went off, well, the question was they brought him back. They never
and
did.
Then they fact checked him. They were like, oh, well, she didn't say this or he didn't say, or you
never did that with her at all. And once again, I don't know why they allowed her to do it, but every time you ask her a question, Kamala, how would you get this car fixed? She starts talking about the problems. She never says how she would do it. It's amazing what she does. She just repeats the problem and says, we need to do this, and we need to get the car fixed, and we need to make sure that the brakes are good, and we need to make sure the engine's good. But she never says how it's going to be done. When the question was, how are you going to fix it? It's impressive that she gets away with it.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things that, salute to you, Andre Dub.
Yes, sir. What's going on, sir? So he said, I don't think the moderators did terrible, but overall, they allowed Kamala to cook, but told Trump to repeat certain. Yep.
Yeah. Was she cooking in the bathtub?
Cook up lies. That's what she was doing.
Oh, I was hoping Donald Trump said something about the bathtub greens, but
I doubt he knows about that. That would have been great, though. That really would have been great.
Yeah. But one of the things that I think that the Taryn wants to pop up. So yeah. But one of the things I think that Kamala really
those greens.
really is going to have to confront. And I think it's up to these people on the television talking about it right now, is if there is a crisis in the border, why does our sitting president and our sitting vice president feel they have to go to Congress to get support for that? Whereas they can go file an executive order for student loans, they can go file an executive order to reverse every Trump order, executive order that was put in place. You don't need an executive order to send troops down to the border and patrol the border. A president has up to 60 days before they declare war or whatever on a foreign country, but they can do it indefinitely in their country if they send troops over there. Kamala Harris has failed our country, and Joe Biden has failed our country, and he probably was asleep, so he didn't even know what was going on with the debate anyway.
100%. What's going on, Taryn?
Salute, Taryn.
That is the most biased debate I have ever seen in my damn life.
It was horrible.
Oh, that was horrible. And you know what? They might as well just give the presidency to Trump, because the story is right now, it's not even about what Kamala was saying to her non-answers. It's about how biased ABC is, and how and that's going.
Is that what you heard, or is that what you think is going to happen?
I'm saying, look on Twitter. Look on
nice.
X.
Nice. All right.
I sit up and watch, because I mean, even some people are like, yeah, she's doing good, but like she's doing too good. Like she already had the answers. It was just a lot, and that's why she only won one debate.
Yeah, she doesn't. Well, we'll see. Depending on the backlash, I think they're gonna she'll request another one.
If I'm Trump, I'll stick a middle finger up. I made my point. he stood up there. He didn't complain. He didn't whine. He stood up there, took on. Look at the hashtags.
Yeah, I'm looking right now.
Well, I think one of the things too is you got to ask that question that they brought up with Donald Trump. Now they said, who looks more presidential? Donald Trump looked more presidential. Donald Trump, despite the bias of the moderators, he still was able to gain control in the discussion more than Kamala Harris, because there was one point where they were like, Mr. President, we got to move on. He's like, no, wait, I'm still talking. And then Kamala was like, well, I want to respond to that. They were like, nope, we're moving on. So,
yeah, because you could tell that you could tell another thing,
cooked is trending.
What's up?
The word "cooked" is trending
in
politics. They're all saying Trump cooked her.
But like I said, you're gonna have the bourgeoisie, the 30% who are gonna go out there on their platforms and push the narrative. But anybody who watched that, I don't think Donald Trump did great tonight. I don't think he did. I don't think he gave anything that was resounding. But what I do think he did do, better for sure. Yeah, but what I do think he did do was he did stand out to show between the two of them who actually has the respect of the people. Because literally when Kamala Harris said that she met with Zelensky, and then Donald Trump brings the fact that, well, yeah, you met with him and met with Putin. I don't know if she did or she didn't, but right after she met, war happened.
She never answered that question.
Yeah, she never answered.
She did word salad. She had a word part after that. She didn't answer that because they asked her, "Hey, is that true?" He said, "Well, he's lying." Okay,
But Taryn, here's the thing. The best thing about it was this. They did that to help her. All she had to do was say, I never met Putin. But then she went off somewhere else. She messed up the bag for them.
Hey, you got little kids. Anyone of y'all got little kids? Did they listen to Word Party back in the day?
No, I don't know what Word Party is, but
I got young kids. I had that was one of my oldest daughters.
Oh yes.
Word
I didn't know what you. Yeah.
That need to be a meme. Somebody didn't make a meme of her every time she talking through the long diatribe. Word Party.
That's a good one. So this is the one that they said there are no credible instances of, and she was charged for eating the cat in front of the neighbors. This is what I was going to talk about tomorrow.
Hold it up. Bring up the video.
Yeah, it's here. But look, it says right here, according to Stark County Jail. So how can they say and this is the moderator saying, "Oh, there's no case."
Oh, it looked like
why was he saying that?
It's Ohio too, ain't it?
Can you hear it?
Did you eat it? No, why'd you kill it? Did you guys see all this?
No, we pulled up and she was just laying there with it.
Did you see her eating it?
Eating it.
She was eating it?
No credible. It's not credible.
You call the Humane Society, see if they'll come pick this cat up. It's deceased.
That's not credible. They walk
What
up
did
and you
you do?
see her doing it.
Why'd you kill the cat?
Hey, put that in the back check. I gotta send it to the some homies. Put that in the back check real quick. I gotta see.
Just imagine a moderator saying, "No, that's not true." How can you say that? We just saw it happen.
But what's crazy is the moderator is basically saying, I'm not going to trust the people who are there. They have done recorded interviews with people who were even black. Kwame Brown, shout out to Kwame Brown, that brother. He even did a live and he showed the interviews of these people talking about these folks saying these things. And now you're acting like, oh, we're going to trust the city. What do you, if you were Taryn, if you were a city manager, what you gonna say? You gonna be like, yeah, people eating stuff. You gonna be like, nope.
Especially if they're a Democrat, like, hell, oh no, I ain't seen nothing. If you're a Democrat, they got to stay in line.
This is okay. I apologize. All right, I'm gonna leave that. I'm not gonna play that video because
you can't play that. You can't play that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna play that video. Let me pull that down. So I was trying to be careful, but the man right there is carrying a duck that he clearly just caught. That person was literally cooking a cat. That's why I pulled it down. I may have to blur that part out. But for them to sit there, oh, there's no credible. And they cited a government source. Yeah, you're
no. Trust the experts, remember? Trust the experts.
Yeah, well,
those are the experts. Those are authoritative sources.
And I just showed you two instances.
And let me give a disclaimer on this right here real quick. No, people, we're not talking about Haitian folks doing this. We're just talking about that population in that city doing this because those people went over there and now I guess they're so hungry that they have resorted to doing this. We're not talking about a whole group of people. We're not talking about a demographic. We're just talking about what's happening in Springfield, Ohio, that the moderator apparently says doesn't happen because he trusts the city manager.
Yeah, he's trusting the city manager while we can watch it on Twitter. This is her saying that she is for fracking. It's amazing what happens when you fact check
water to poisonous emissions. Will you commit to implementing a federal ban on fracking your first day in office?
CNN.
Adding the United States to the list of countries who have banned this devastating practice.
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So, yes.
Oh, she got a round of applause.
Oh, yeah.
Starting with what we can do.
Well, because she's talking in front of climate crisis.
And then
it's
there has
almost
to
like
be
she's full of shit.
legislation. And this is something I've taken on in California. I have a history of working on this issue. And to your point,
I love that they put the question up there.
You know, we have to acknowledge that the residual impact of fracking is enormous in terms of the impact on the health and safety of communities. Yeah.
No question. She said there's no question. We saw her now today lie and say, I made my position clear. Yeah, you did, but it wasn't what you're saying now. You lied on the stage, and those moderators knew it. They knew it. Everybody knows she did that because they've all reported on it. ABC has reported on that.
But what's crazy to me is they say she changed her position, but then when Donald Trump thinks about changing his position on abortion, they say he flip-flops.
Oh,
they do the word play they do with that.
Yeah, that's all they do.
But I gotta ask this question. Hey, Taryn.
Yes, sir.
What what is your race?
I am black as hell.
Okay. Odom, what is your race?
Yes, I am also black.
Okay. All right. So if somebody questioned and said that they didn't know if you were black or not, and you had an opportunity on a national audience to set the record straight, wouldn't you say that you are black?
No, I would talk about the other person and say we
talk
need
about
to
the
move
other
on
person.
with this divisiveness.
So where's Auntie rolling with all of this? Where are all those people? Where's Luther Campbell? Where's this whole we need to stand by her because she's a black woman when she won't even acknowledge that she's a black woman?
And you supposed to give him. I don't know. Let me shut up. Because how clean are we being? Are we being hood right now, or are we being clean for politics?
We're being lower middle class right now.
Lower. Oh, okay. So I can't cuss. I can't. Yeah. I'm like, man, he on some bullshit. Let's move along, man. Look at me. He ain't even black. What the fuck?
Oh, and hey, Taryn, I accept your challenge about those about the 225.
Yeah, I'm saying, but that's my stance since my face been out here, man. And somebody want to come over and try to do that old debating stuff on some nonsense, or try to keep it both ways and all that bullshit they saying. I need to see 225 12 times.
Yeah, just give me about 2 more weeks to get my muscle memory back on it. So,
I mean, hey,
this is the video I was gonna play. Go ahead. No, sorry. Go ahead. I got my video.
Yeah, that's supposed to be you good, man. We need to debate on something. We could debate on something, man. Hey,
I still need to show people I can put weight up.
Yeah,
that's all.
All right, you guys want to see something funny here?
Yeah, Speaks. Go ahead.
A rogue, all right, notorious for his flamboyant lifestyle, flashy clothes, fancy parties, fine women, and fast cars.
You Playboy Willie, man.
As the mayor. If ever a man and a municipality were made for each other, it was this man, this place.
Yeah,
he's a rogue, all right, notorious for his flamboyant lifestyle, flashy clothes, fancy parties, fine women,
and are you his daughter? No,
yeah, I forgot you're the one who sent me that. That's so great.
I think I sent you that home.
Yeah.
I gotta send that to the home.
I didn't realize this. I did not realize when I watched the movie Barbershop, the last Barbershop movie.
Number 2.
I did not realize. I put 2 and 2 together. The city councilman Lalo Brown, I believe, was characterized off of Willie Brown.
Probably.
Ice Cube ain't shit.
I would bet he was.
That would be hilarious.
Ice Cube did that. I didn't even. You know, we rewatched that movie.
I would bet he was. Yeah.
He ain't shit. I'll watch the movie again.
There's another fact check. I'm gonna just keep doing this because they weren't gonna do it. They're just lying. So this guy is the architect of Project 2025.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what he said.
I saw him on Temple.
The breaking news is Trump has nothing to do with Project 2025. Sure, a lot of us have worked in the admin and came together, but this started long before he even announced for president.
That's weird.
The breaking news is Trump has nothing to do with 2025.
He said that.
A lot of us have worked in.
Pause real quick. He said that on
I just let it replay.
He said that on Tim Pool a couple weeks ago. He broke it all the way down. Like it was just
they don't watch Tim Pool. You know that.
Yeah, but I mean, he broke it all the way down. That's why, and then half these people didn't even read Project 2025. No. It's just a boogeyman. And a lot of this stuff. If you take 2025 out of that and you put that as Kamala, I hate to sound that Kamala's policy, they'll believe that was her policies,
and they'll agree with it.
No, they don't know anything about policies like that. Come on, man.
No, yeah, I'm looking for more fact checks because that was wild. And the way they just let her go on is crazy.
No fact, yeah, because it was set up. It was a play.
But it's weird that they said that the question for young people dealt with climate change. Young people are trying to find jobs and trying to make sure they have a social security. I'll tell you the truth. I deal with young people and I've seen young people, young adults in their 20-somethings. They're not giving a crap about climate change. They're worried about student debt and finding a sustainable career that they won't be working for the government until the day that they die. Climate change is not up there on the radar.
Mel, I gotta tell you something. I gotta tell y'all something. See, this is the part I need to make another challenge just for pop culture, because I think that's a blind spot for a lot of people. When we get a certain age, we kind of forget where these you know, Mel, because you're a teacher, but a lot of cats don't know like what's going on with the youth, like the people that's notorious, that's terminally online. It's gonna be different than the kids you deal with every day. The Terminal Online ones, they care about the stuff like the gender stuff. They care about the climate change stuff, and they the ones that's like, we think we gotta look at this. These are people that probably still do the Disney stuff, still like how Disney is right now. They the ones that Disney been trying to court that group, pretty much the reject of the school, the ones that's with the weird stuff, that's with a lot. They socially awkward. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what, like, right now it's messed up all the pop culture in other ways. Like, for example, when the last time you seen a rated R comedy movie?
They're scared to do them.
Exactly. It's because of that group, like, say, they the ones that's gonna create a cancel culture, and they connect. They grew up and they went in the corporation. They the ones that's in the middle management at Disney.
Well,
so
I gotta say,
huh?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead, brother.
So this is what they are looking for. This is what they want. Not the regular people run a mill. That's not going to, not even, they done with like Disney. They done with all that stuff. They on their own. They living their life. Yeah, like you know what I mean.
Yeah, but I gotta say this though.
Yeah.
I don't, like I said, I don't know if I would say that's probably a few that gets pushed out there. A majority of, like I say, young adults are just trying to find their way in society and in life. And I think that's an opportunity where you start to see a lot of the independence and the voter independence that we're seeing a lot with the younger generation. I don't know if that stuff matters as much as the narratives are getting pushed out there. Like, for example, Kamala Harris being the first Indian Black woman.
Yeah, they don't care about that.
I don't think they care about that as much as people try to make them care about it. I'm talking about those 20-something-year-olds. I think they are really locked in on what's best for me, what's going to get me. And I think a lot of people mislead the idea that group of kids do care about that stuff, because they, in my experience, they really don't. You know, if you're in your 20s,
it's a tech generation. So they immediately go and fact check. The problem is, because the media plays with their access to real information, a lot of them get bad information. But they're more likely to look stuff up than the older generation.
X changed the game too.
Yeah,
X changed the game, and like TikTok, they loosen a lot of their stuff, so you getting more balance on there too.
Yep.
So it's something going. But see, here's the kids they looking at are basically the trust fund kids that's pushing this stuff too. So it's a split. It's a bubble they are in that they're not in where we at. Yep. That's why they keep bringing that stuff up.
Have you guys noticed CNBC has actually been really pressing the Biden administration?
It's because they're playing both sides. Like a lot of CNBC, like Universal and all that stuff.
Yeah,
they're gonna get hurt.
Business oriented.
They're gonna get hurt worse with Kamala than they don't want Kamala. And MSNBC they just Uber against Trump. They don't really care about Kamala. They just Uber against Trump. So that's the split.
Interesting. I wanted to play this real quick. I just found this.
Now let's look at who voters think have the best policies on these issues. Let's go.
Close.
Overall economy, the fourth most important issue. Donald Trump has a 30-point lead on that. Crime tied for fourth, 28-point lead for Trump. Inflation, the most important issue.
That's why they had to keep pounding
for Donald Trump.
Inflation.
Healthcare, Biden has a 19-point advantage on that. And the middle class, that's a place, as Wolf was talking about, where there is some battle right there. Who has the best policies for the middle class?
It's interesting. But yeah, they're like the Fox Business brand.
Yeah, they don't have a partisan interest. They only care about the money.
Right. So I saw him, one of the hosts on CNBC grilling Liz Warren. He made her look like a fool.
Yeah,
she didn't know what she was talking about. So that's interesting. I
have a coworker. Her mom used to work for Elizabeth Warren, and she said she talked bad about her. But that's a whole nother story. But yeah,
I don't know, man. That was I think Trump could have done better. I would have done better, but
he kind of was looking for what's the play in this?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. He kind of tell like, okay, and then he used some of her text that she wanted to use against her. That was brilliant.
I'm talking. Remember that? That was hilarious.
Yeah, it was brilliant. He said it twice. He did it twice. Said, please be quiet.
Excuse me. I'm talking.
And she had to take that. She had to take that on the chin.
Yep. She just sat there. But yeah, it was I don't know. Those moderators, I hope they get destroyed because it was so blatant how they were leading in with their questions, and I don't understand. I'm a Trump supporter. It said everything you say can be backed. Say about Trump or Harris can be backed up with facts. Hold on, let me read this again. I said somewhere like they said you're a Trump supporter. I said everything. Oh yeah. I mean, he's actually my supporter because he's going to work for me. So whatever his policies are that I agree with is because he's running to please my side. So in a sense, you could say it, I guess, that I'm a Trump supporter. Really, he supports my mandates. So I wouldn't look at myself that way. But I mean, I guess you could say that. But bring him over here and I'll talk to him. I have no problem talking to him. I would absolutely love to talk to him. Yes.
Now check the back check. Phil Labonte.
Oh yeah, I saw this one.
All that remains. That's good ass band. I like all that remains.
3-on-1. Yeah, I saw that one. He said she take a lot of the. Oh, Mike. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know.
Got something. Got something else.
So L Boogie asked a question. Do y'all think she has been selected the primary candidate to vindicate Trump? I'm not sure if I understand that question. What do you think, O Speaks?
I don't understand. I don't understand why they would do that. Who is they? I guess who would have selected her? The left?
The left just because how they hiding up, they just using anybody to be. So they hoping he blasts up and say something crazy to them.
Yes.
That's what this whole night was about, really.
Yep.
This night was about to get him to snap off.
So I got a theory. I think I understand L Boogie's question a little bit. But I got a theory why Kamala Harris was put in the position. I don't think the Democrats wanted her, particularly white Democrats wanted her to be the person.
Definitely not.
However, I believe had she not been it, then whatever black support they did have, you would have saw a massive exodus from that. So it's kind of like the Joe Biden was dead on arrival until he went to South Carolina and made all these promises to black people, even though he didn't keep them. The only thing he did keep was appointing a black Supreme Court justice. So had Joe Biden not appointed that black Supreme Court justice who was a woman, then he would have surely not gotten the black support. So I think it was kind of they were placed in a position they had no other option but to go with her. And with the expectation, I believe they know she's going to lose. But at least they can't say that they didn't do it. So that's my theory.
Yeah, they definitely could not put anyone else in front of her. And I've exhausted that talking point because I've been talking about that since before she was, since it all started. Like as soon as that debate was over, I kept saying why they cannot replace her. And it was all finance. There's no way they were going to be able to financially use that money with anyone else, so they really had no choice. On top of that, she's black, she won't tell you that. But on top of that, they did not want to. They didn't want to come across as replacing a black candidate because they had no other black candidate put in front of her, other than Michelle Obama, who we knew, or I knew, she's never going to run.
Yeah, I mean, they put her in place because they never thought that she would be the one to actually run for president in 4 years.
Yeah.
They probably thought she was going to bow out, or they probably thought that Joe Biden was going to pick another candidate, pick another VP or something. It was something that happened that she was kind of forced there, as opposed to it working out. She was going to be the successor. Because I don't see that.
So this does kind of get rid of her, though. So maybe that's what El Boogie was saying. I don't know about vindicating Trump, but it does get rid of her. She's out of the way. They won't allow her to run again next time.
Yeah, Shapiro gonna be a run next time because he's vindicated. She should have picked him. That would have gave her a way better chance.
He had some issues though.
Oh, his religion. Okay, that works.
Well, not just that. No, he had some issues. A lot of stuff started coming out about him really quick, and he was the one who was supposed to be her pick. But yeah, he had some. He's got some past issues that are going on. Yeah. Let's play this. This is the woman who said. This is what Taryn sent me this about her not wanting to ban guns.
I'm prepared to take executive action and put in place a ban on the importation of assault weapons into our country. But we still have to deal with over 2 million assault weapons that are currently in the streets of America. And so a buyback program is a good idea. If Congress fails to act, I'll give them 100 days to put a bill on my desk for signature. If they do not do it, I will put in place executive action,
Monday high noon,
comprehensive background check requirement, and a ban on the assault importation.
I hope she in a Freaknik video somewhere.
That's why we will work to pass universal background checks, red flag laws, and an assault weapons ban.
So what people don't understand, what a lot of people don't understand, that sounds like what they call common sense gun legislation. But in reality, that is the step to taking firearms. The government does not stop, especially when it comes to progressives, because by definition, they always move forward with more. So when they say, I don't want to take your gun, that's how it always starts. But clearly, talking about bans and all this other legislation, that's the logical conclusion.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and bow out of this conversation, sir. Man. Thank you so much for us, I guess, sharing this live.
Holy crap, 2.5 hours.
But yeah. I wanted to say this real quick. Ain't it funny, guys, that y'all just saw her talking about taking executive action?
But why don't they do it now?
But she can't take executive action for the border. Make it make sense. But hey, this has been a great live, man. Thank you guys.
Thank you, sir. I do owe you one for sure.
Yeah. Well, you guys have a good night, man. So
you too, man. I appreciate you.
All right,
dude. Go look on X and look up hashtag moderators. There's a whole bunch of everybody going in on the moderators. You even got Lindsey Graham going in.
I just saw Frank Luntz, but I hate that guy so much. I hate is a strong word, but I mean it with him.
You heavily dislike that man, and that's understandable, man.
Oh, I can't stand that guy. I really can't stand that guy. She said she had some questions, didn't want to interrupt.
Go ahead.
Come on, Just Dave. What kind of questions you got? I'm looking. Let's see. And I still have Mel's Cash App as well as mine going along the bottom. If you guys wanted to bless his channel, if you wanted to bless my channel, I appreciate him for coming up and spending this debate with me, talking about it. Hopefully, I was able to. It's actually more of a comment.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. But yeah, I this was needed. This was needed. I did a lot of fact checking. I don't know if you were watching earlier. But I was opening tabs during those breaks that they had, and I was going through the fact checks because the moderators definitely weren't going to do it. So there was no way I was going to allow that.
And what gets me? Why do they think that was going to work if you don't fetch? We got the internet. We have ChatGPT. We have all these tools to call you on your BS.
It takes a second, but what my problem is that they did it with him. But they didn't do it with her, and that's like
it's obvious bias,
clear bias.
And see, here's another thing with them. See, because what does this do? First of all, every dude who watches that that was on the fence is going towards, more likely going towards Trump. It's probably gonna be like 80% of those dudes that was on the
I think
fence.
so.
Just because they're saying, oh, she's getting she's getting
preferential
good treatment.
Yep.
Yeah, preferential treatment or whatever.
Yep.
So I'm like, I might be overestimating. Let's say 60%. That's still a lot.
No, dude. No, 661,000 posts on moderators, on the trend of moderators. That's wild.
And that's just started. So let's say
I got the audio to that. So earlier, I don't know, I don't know if you're here, but it would not let me play the audio to Governor Northam saying what Trump said he said.
Yeah.
They outright just denied it, which was crazy. So let's see. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm old enough to remember Rush Limbaugh making fun. Rush Limbaugh making fun of. Have you remember that? Have you ever heard him make fun of Governor Northam?
Not him making fun of. Well, maybe.
I gotta find it.
So this is the governor, or the former governor of Virginia. People, when they said that, that's just not true. When Trump was talking about abortion in the 9th month or after birth abortion, let's listen to his words.
In labor, I can tell you exactly what would happen. The infant would be delivered. The infant would be kept comfortable. The infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and the family desired, and then a discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mother. So I think this was.
He was a pediatrician talking about after birth abortion, not partial birth, not 9 month, not 8 month, after birth, setting the child aside. Let's listen to him one more time because this is that important.
If a mother is in labor, I can tell you exactly what would happen. The infant would be delivered. The infant would be kept comfortable. The infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and the family desired. And then a discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mother. So
notice he didn't say fetus. He said infant. There's a term for that. It is called infanticide. He literally used the word infant because you can't deny it at that point. The baby is out. He's keeping the baby comfortable. This is what Trump was talking about, and they just allowed Kamala this. Oh, that's just ridiculous. If
a mother is in labor, I can tell you exactly what would happen. The infant would be delivered. The infant would be kept comfortable. The infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and the family desired. And then a discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mother. So I think this was.
That was the policies that Trump was talking about, that they refused. That's it. Yeah, lead them this way. Like you said, that's all you really can do. That's really all you can do, Just Jay, is, hey, just listen to this. And I appreciate that. That's pretty cool. But that doesn't mean they're going to receive it. Embassy. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Jay, you got to understand, man, like, for people to receive the message or receive information when they are emotionally attached to a candidate or political figure, they're essentially snitching on themselves.
Yeah,
you have to understand that. And this is a problem when you put so much emotion into politics and so much emotions into this type of thing where it's supposed to be us finding the right candidate with the right policies, and they should be bound for our vote, not us bound to make everybody else vote with them.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And that's the problem with it. That's the problem with big government. That's the problem when you essentially make government as a god in a lot of people's mind.
Exactly.
You're not gonna get anybody to self snitch on their religion. This is the same situation.
Mm-hmm. And that's how you doing? Oh, sorry.
All right, sorry. How you doing, Amber? I didn't even see it.
Hey, O Speaks. Intern, how are you guys doing?
We're doing all right.
Oh, this was rough. I was going crazy because I feel like I don't think that this was his strongest performance. But what frustrated me was that there's a meme going around on X that it was 3-on-1, and it really, really was. Like, I don't have a problem with them holding him accountable, but let's do it across the board. And then, I was on X, and then I was popping in the chat, and people clearly don't do their homework. There are all of these people talking about, oh my God, he's talking about people eating the cats. Ma'am, if you don't use Google, so I hope they do another debate. I definitely hope they do another debate. But I really think at this point, people that were for him are going to be for him. And I think that people that are for her are going to be for her. I don't know that this necessarily moved the needle. And if it did move the needle, then we have more issues than not. Because the things that she was saying, there was nothing that was consistent. She sounded like an Obama replica. She used great conversation in the way that we talk about things and the way that we say things. And this, people, is what we're going to do while eggs are $7. Like, make it make sense. You know what I mean? So I just want to pop up and say that. I was pulling out my hair. Wig is across the house. It was just all bad tonight. I don't have any edges left. So we're just going to figure this out tomorrow and try to be better. But yeah, I don't think this is a great night for him. But I think that she lied from the moment she opened her mouth.
Absolutely.
See, the thing, Amber, you have wit and you have intelligence, and you can see through the bullshit. A lot of, I'm being frank with you. There's a lot of women out here cannot see through the bullshit. A lot of dudes they really can't see through the bullshit because they scared they might offend their wife or whatever. You know what I mean?
Okay, so let's wind that one back.
Let's
run that back. Let me explain why. We're going to run that back.
There are some simps though. But sorry, go ahead.
I agree wholeheartedly. I think there are. I think though that you also have to, as a community, we're waking up, right? And it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen all at one time. It started happening in 2016. Then we saw a little bit more of it in 2020. And now we're seeing a whole lot more of it, right? As a community, I grew up in church. And in church, I never saw anyone Republican come to my church. My dad is an avid Democrat. That's all we were known and exposed to. So as we learn more, we make different decisions. So I will say for myself, before really being introduced to this way by my husband, I was a Democrat through and through. You know what I mean? So I don't necessarily think it's that, women are blinded. I think it's just that this is what they were taught. This is all that they know. And it's going to take a minute. And you know this, and be honest about it. We do have a really weird, and it's, I can't even say that it's weird, but we really do have an allegiance to our own.
Yeah.
If you think about it, if you see a Black person on the street, you're going to speak to them regardless of what their political party is, right? You're going to speak to them because they're Black, right? There's an unwritten allegiance. We're going to head nod. If I see a Black woman, if I see a Black guy, like that's just what we do. So, I mean, we have there's a bunch of nuances that we have to navigate through before we get to the other side, basically.
Yeah, I agree.
I think though a lot of it is like, and this, I hope I don't sound like I'm this old blatant sexist and all this stuff. I'm not trying to do that. I got 2 daughters. I have a wife, and I mean I love them dearly. And my wife get the bag. I get the bag. We doing it. I'm not trying to brag or anything. It's just like, I respect what she does and stuff. The thing is though, what happens? So some people think us telling y'all the truth, us telling y'all, hey, this is what it is.
Who is us?
Us as a man in general, telling anybody with fair sex the truth. Like right now, there's people that actually trying to call Trump a sexist for just debating her harshly. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? And they will use that. And this is the game. This is game being played. And what needs to happen right now, is y'all, a lot of women need to start understanding y'all being played, especially by our sisters. And one thing I've been doing outside of the internet stuff, because things get misconstrued. Every time I see a sister, like if just have a casual conversation, not trying to flirt or anything. Because see, the thing is, I'm free of not wanting anybody else. I love my wife. I made a covenant with God and stuff, so I feel like I could talk more freely. Because I don't need anything from them. I just need that person to be smarter after I talk to them. That makes sense.
All right. So
I think
so maybe go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I think for me, there's way more black women that are coming around way faster than I expected.
I agree.
So I'm actually pleased with it. And to Amber's point, 2016 started the increase of black people voting for Republican. They started with Trump, and then they voted for him again. I think he went up like 4 or 5 points, which is insane. This time it's going to be even more. So I'm actually pleased with where black women are.
I think
you can't expect an overnight.
I think 2020. Did he get like 53 of the black men vote or something like that? Something crazy.
It's huge.
Yeah, it was something crazy.
Yeah. And I think the women, I think they're going to surprise us for the better this time.
Because like if he get 40% of the women, that Kamala gonna have a hard time.
No, he's not going to get 40%. He only needs 10% of black women, because he's already turning a lot of the people who cost Trump the last election was actually white males.
Yeah,
college-educated white males. It wasn't us, but voting at a 90% clip did not help. So,
but can we have an honest conversation about about Obama's, like about his candidacy, like what that looked like? There were men and women coming out by the droves to vote for this black man that we can have in office, right? And so fast forward how many years, we now have this opportunity, air quotes, to have a black woman in office. If you think that there aren't going to be people that rally behind the fact that they get to see themselves, air quotes again, in office, like that's unrealistic. Now, we want to not vote based on obviously our race and our gender, but you have to understand, if you even pay attention to like where we came to where we got to the point that we're at now, like I don't understand why any of this is even a surprise. You know what I mean?
Like surprise. I don't think it's a surprise so much as disappointment. That's what I think it is.
But remember, incrementally, like for us to even have a black person being able to stand in black, using lightly, right? If we're she flat irons her hair. Let's just put it this way.
I think
she flat irons her hair.
Hey, I think some decimal points get lost. Hold on, this
she flat irons her hair.
It's a good one.
We're gonna go with that for today. She got a Brazilian blowout.
This is a good one. This is a good one.
Based on that, and she's a woman. So based on that alone, like how long ago, we haven't seen this before, y'all. So I mean, while I would love for us to just go over, cross the street, I think that I'm actually very, 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 very pleased with where we are. And we're not going to go down the Divine Nine track, because there's a pride there that I don't think, if you're not a part of that, you don't really understand.
My brother's a part. He's accused, so I already understand that whole thing. And they split.
Yeah, absolutely.
They split on this like crazy.
Good.
Absolutely. So that's all. I just wanted, I know we are not where we want to be. And I know that this is not, from what we're seeing from, our people, this isn't where we would like them to be. But I think that we've definitely moved the needle. And I'm really proud of where we are now.
I agree.
And on that note, I'm going to go pick up my way again. I'm going to go to bed. You guys have a great night. Thank you for letting me come up. I appreciate it. Good night.
Good night. I was gonna say that she dropped some decimal points when she put them greens in that tub. That's all I wanted to say.
I want to play this. This is about the pets.
Here, you bring up Springfield, Ohio, and ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Well, I've seen people on television.
Let me just say here, this is
the people on television say my dog was taken and used for food.
Literally.
So maybe he said that, and maybe that's a good thing to say for a city manager.
I'm not taking this from
but
television.
The people are
I'm
on
taking it from
television
the city
saying
manager.
their dog was eaten by the people that went there.
Now look at her face. She's outraged. I'm sure people on Twitter were outraged. But
Clark County Communications. Oh, yes, ma'am. I got a question. This is a non-emergency line, correct? Yes, it is.
Hilarious.
Okay. I'm sitting here. I'm riding on the trail going to my orientation for my job today. And I see a group of Haitian people. There was about 4 of them. They all had geese in their hand. They got away. I couldn't make out the first 3 of the license plate, but I got the numbers. The last numbers was 9898, and it was a gray Toyota Tacoma they took off on.
So they're literally reporting what the actual moderator is saying. Oh no, we verified. We verified. When did you verify that? Live
Don't believe your lying eyes, sir.
Yeah, live on the spot. So like, who verified that? Did they know he was going to bring it up and screen that? Like that's insane.
Hold on. Did she actually say which city manager said that?
No, but what city manager wouldn't say that?
But yeah. I mean, we need to put the city manager on spot. That's what I'm saying.
Of course.
Yeah, which city manager said that?
How are you going to deny that? Twitter is beautiful because you can see things that are undeniable. This man is literally walking with a goose. He's literally walking with a goose.
They play a duck hunt out in the park, man. That's messed up. Man.
And because those are domesticated, or they're not really domesticated, but they're used to being around people, they're going to get kind of close. All you have to do is throw some bread on the ground. And I mean, what are we doing here? Why are we lying? Why is a moderator who's supposed to moderate, quote unquote, fact checking? And then he's wrong when he fact checks. And why did he fact check that point? Did they do it in real time and immediately get a response from the city manager? No, they clearly knew that was going to be a problem. They called them ahead of time and found out, hey, this guy's going to use this talking point. Is it true? Because why else would they? How did they fact check it that fast?
That is wild.
How is it possible that they fact checked it that fast?
Oh, that was that prep they were talking about. You know, we're gonna prep. We gotta prep a little bit more. Yeah, we gotta prep a little more with Kamala. Because like, is it funny that how fast her responses was? She ain't respond that fast at any debate.
No. I just don't understand how a moderator can say, "Oh, well, we just reached out to the city manager and they said that that's not true." When did you do it? He just brought it up, like seconds before that. How do you fact check it in real time with somebody? Somebody has to answer and respond, and then live on air, you got to say, "Oh, no, that's not true." Well,
I want to know again. I need to know where in the hell is that city manager at? We need questions. Why did you tell them? Why you tell them that flat out lies? I mean, I think the community to get on them. He didn't get on and say, "Hey, I ain't telling them fools nothing."
Well, what's going to happen though is people are going to come forward and say, yes, it's true. But the debate's over. She already had her moment. She already lied about it and they move on. And she had the moderator supposedly fact checking in real time, which is, I mean, look, the Phoenix Rising Point, you can Google it. But he said they fact checked it. How did he fact check it while Trump was talking? Like that's insanity.
I'm like this. I said, how you gonna fact check? The story just happened. It literally just
happened. Yeah,
it just happened. Then on top of that, okay, who the city manager? What city manager?
Exactly.
Did you even call right city? What the fuck?
Well, remember, the mayor of Aurora, Colorado, kept saying that the Venezuelans weren't taking over apartments. They weren't taking them until he had no choice but to admit it. So of course they're going to say, no, that's not happening here. Everything's safe. They don't want to come out and say, yeah, boy, they took over another apartment complex. They're not going to do that. They have a vested interest in lying about that because it shows that they failed in some way. Wild, man. Wild.
Protect the system.
Unbelievable.
That's what
the sister who won't say she's a sister.
No, protect the system.
Oh, I thought you said the sister.
Oh no. She just, she blackfacing it, man. Hey, she doing her job. She blackfacing it.
She had another opportunity to say he's an idiot. I am black, and she could not do it because she knew that her parents or her mother's did her mother pass?
Indian, South India. Remember?
Well, she knew the family was probably watching, and she didn't want to say something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it all comes down to.
Well, I mean, hey, she got to go back to the family reunion. You know what time it is. They're gonna eat their curry and shit. You can't be messing up the family.
K Soprano. So when I say Trump could have done better, he could have told this story. Taryn, I'm sure you know that story, right? Can you see it on the screen? K Soprano said, "Why did you give me a picture of my house?" Did you hear about that story?
Oh yeah, he did sell that with the title. Yeah, because they're gonna drop something on. He gonna just like the Iranian thing. Like
he had an opportunity to tell that story. Listen, there were terrorists, and I told Taliban there will be no American deaths, and if they do, they were going to be dealt with. And he gave the Taliban leader a picture of his house. And that's why the guy said, well, why'd you give me a picture of my house? He said, because I know exactly where you live, and if any Americans die, you're going to die. Just like that. Man. He should have told that story. I would have told the story.
He basically did say it, but yeah.
Yeah, but you had to know the story in order to understand what he was saying. He could have prepped on that one to tell the story. Why'd you give me a picture of my house? Because I threatened them. That's why.
But yeah, he could say that. And another thing, like I'm telling you, this is the most gangster stuff Trump ever did. When that impeachment thing was going down, and it looked like they had him on the ropes and everything. I'm talking about impeachment number one. He dropped that bomb on that Iranian general. So that was some gang. I was like, oh, he with the shit.
That's the one where he said his name really slow. I don't know. I don't remember his name.
Suleiman, was
it? He just said it. He was like Abdullah, whatever his name is. And I was like, this dude really did that, and he bragged about it, and that was it. You have to figure that out for yourself.
Hey, that was some gangsters. Hey, when he dropped that bomb on, they like, oh man, we could move around Iraq like ain't no cause this, cause that. He ain't gonna have time for us. Oh, we got time.
Time.
I bet he went to a situation where like, hey man, look, they make me mad. You got him on that. You got him where he at? All right, do what you gotta do.
Drop it. Evaporated him, and then went on TV and talked about it.
Yeah, I had some gangster shit right there.
He's like, he is no more. He is gone. He is dead. Couldn't be harsher about it. But that's what was needed to scare these people. Like, hold on, I think I still have that Putin video from my last live.
Man. Hey, was he meeting Putin at that time? He did. Oh, he did something in Iraq.
He was meeting with somebody while that happened. It's phenomenal. It was the greatest thing. Like at the time, it was the greatest thing I'd ever seen.
I think that first one when he met with Putin, the first time. Was it Putin or was it Kim Jong Un?
One of them.
He dropped a Moab on ISIS like that in Afghanistan. That was some gangster shit too.
And that's when he threatened Kim Jong Un. He said, "My red button is bigger than yours," or something like that. That's awesome.
Well, that's some Jack Ryan shit, right? President Jack Ryan. That's some Tom Clancy people. I like that.
Man, I had one with Putin saying that he prefers Kamala while she's up there in front of the world saying that he prefers Trump.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
I don't know what I did with it. Crap. Once I use my videos, if they're not compilations, I toss them. If I have a compilation, I started uploading them to a playlist. So if anybody wants to use them, I lost it. Crap. that was a funny one. Dang, man. Oh well. Anyway. Let's see. Trump was. Yeah, he was. He wasn't playing with them. But anyway, that's all I had for today. I did not know I was out. This is almost 3 hours, man. That was amazing.
Hey, get them watch hours up. Get monetized.
That's true.
That's true. That's what I'm trying to do. I thought about going live earlier, do like a thumbnail like open chat thing, but it was too close to the I think KB was up. I was watching it. KB or somebody was up.
Yeah, he's still up. So I started adding you. You're part of my links now. So if you guys don't know, Taryn has a channel now.
Yeah, we talk mostly sports and stuff.
I am.
I was gonna do I was gonna make a thumbnail for tomorrow, and have an open chat just because like I think a lot of us be ignoring like the pop culture aspect.
Yeah.
Because ABC, this is the reason why if you go look at your Disney stock, it's pretty low than it used to be. Because a lot of stuff on the political thing have infiltrated like the pop culture aspect.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's bad now.
Just from a censorship standpoint alone, it's insane.
Yeah,
it's insane. I actually did a short video on comedy. It destroyed comedy for years.
It's coming back though.
Yeah, it is.
It's coming back because like
Dave Chappelle and Bill Burr really showed that it is okay to say what you really think now.
And Kevin Hart Kevin Hart and Cat Williams. Kevin Hart.
I don't know.
Kevin Hart been saying he kind of keeping it nice, but he's saying things too. You know what I mean? You gotta just read between the lines because like Kevin Hart was you want to know why cancel culture even exists?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, Kevin Hart was using social media like crazy. Yeah, that's how he got big.
He said something and he started having to apologize, but he hasn't really. He said something about the alphabets. And
yeah, he would make it like with Twitter back when Twitter was Wild West. I was in those.
Well, it's back to being a Wild West right now.
Oh, it's hardcore now. But like back in like I want to say because like I used to go on remember Tiny Chat back in the day. Were you around that time?
I wasn't on. No, I wasn't on live. So I wasn't on as much social media. I was only on Facebook for a while. That's where I did all my debating.
So you see, we got StreamYards. This is even really before YouTube even hit off. Twitter pretty much came up in like 2007, 2008, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they had a StreamYard version called Tiny Chat where you go on there with your Twitter address like chat some open panels and stuff. So he used to be on there hard he used to have raunchy ass jokes.
And yeah, I don't know what happened to him. I mean, he don't want to mess up his bag because the dude. He blew up fast.
He got kids and everything, but as this back when he was hungry, he was pretty much going to the Chitlin comedy circuit, going to comedy views and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But him and Cat Williams and all of them used to be on there. Cat Williams used to just be on there roasting people on when they on cam. That shit used to be hilarious.
That's funny.
And guess who ran the Tiny Chat back in the day too? Mr. C. They used to do DJ.
Yeah, it was hip hop.
Yeah, I used to go to his Mr. C and all them comedians and all the like independent artists used to go on there and do freestyles and all that stuff. It was a big old thing.
Where'd they all go? Where did that go? Where did that community go?
Mr. C dead now, but like
no, I mean that community. I mean, where did that culture that community had to go somewhere?
That they ended up becoming like Black Twitter.
Okay.
Like because a lot of them cats came from Black Planet and
Yeah, like because that's what I was gonna say. When there was MySpace, there was Black Planet. They all went somewhere. They mostly pretty much.
They went to Twitter and did the Tiny Chat thing and everything.
Okay.
But yeah, that's how I like really got into like knowing about all this stuff. That's like my first time seeing like Carcino stuff where he used to do little boxing things. But that's a whole nother thing. We could have a long conversation about internet history.
Interesting. I started in that 2000 elections when I really got involved in politics.
2000.
Yep. That's when I really got into it. I told the story before. I did a drawing for a radio host, and they put billboards in the city of Chicago of the drawing that I did, and the left was protesting it, like literally protesting a drawing. And I'm like, what is going on here? That's when I really started paying attention. And the radio personality told me, he was like, are you ready to do some controversial art? I'm like, I don't care. And he told me, there's going to be people who are going to come after you. And I'm like, okay, whatever. It's drawing. And sure enough,
a drawing as a drawing on like art.
It was billboard. Yeah.
Okay.
I might have it, but yeah, it was very interesting how they essentially came at me, and I'm like, this is wild. They're really protesting me. Like, all I did was do a drawing. I might have it. It was wild though. That's when I started paying attention. So, why do these people care what I drew? And they were really upset. And it was equally offensive to both candidates. I think I had Bush snorting coke and Gore smoking weed. But only the left came after me, and I'm like, this is weird. And that was my introduction to politics, to really paying attention to it, because I couldn't understand why they were so like hateful. Like they were really, really hateful.
My introduction, you're gonna laugh at this. We're around the same age. Do you remember when? See, we had a Channel 33. It was KD. Oh, yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. So I did the drawing. I don't know if you could see.
I see it.
A show called Man Cow, and I just drew the two portraits. They did the graphic stuff, and it was wild how those people came after me. And I'm like, this is I don't understand. I didn't understand it. Now I know, to G. Will's point, that
they can't joke. They can't joke.
Yeah,
they can't meet. Like they can't even meet.
Yeah, it was wild.
Hey, you want to know the truth? This is black culture importance to the left, because we can joke. Like, we got inherent ability to joke, even something political. We can joke about it. So that's why they need to keep us aligned so much, because we give them the cool factor. Because the thing about this, a lot of people that's on it. If you ever go to you been to a white high school?
Yeah, kind of in the city of Chicago. Yeah.
So the far left, you kind of know who they do their own cliques. Like, you got the jocks, you got the nerds, you got the they got the little. I don't know about yours, but down here they got the and you kind of know who the art class kind of cat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't go to. I visited those schools, but I didn't go to a white school. So I misunderstood what you were saying. No, I did not go to a white school.
Yeah, they got, like I said, they got their own thing. So you kind of see what type of what type of person gets attracted to leftist policies. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You got really. I mean, when you grow up, you were told this group of people is your enemy. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You get told that to watch out these people. This is your enemy. So my infinite wisdom, I thought, hey, maybe I need to study who my enemy is so I can understand them, and I can know how to maneuver if I have to deal with them in any way. You know what I mean?
I never did that. I know what you're saying, but I never did that. That's interesting.
But see, this gets back to how I changed my politics. So I changed my politics. I had a coach, cool ass coach, and I happened went in the field house when he was listening to Rush Limbaugh. So I was like,
you were already you were a Democrat?
I was like a kid. I didn't know any better. I just was.
That's what I'm saying. I wasn't in it either. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so I was like, who the hell is this dude? And this is back when before the door Clinton door, and then this back when Al Gore was going hard on hip hop. So I did the old talking points and this and that. And he's like, you like rap, don't you? I was like, yeah. You know they against rap, right?
Yeah, they're coming after it.
I was like, they are? Oh yeah, you like video games too? I said, yeah. They coming after that too. So that was that one little bit of mustard seed went in my ear. I was like, oh, let me see what's going on. I'm in 7th grade. All right, let me go see what's going on. I don't want to look dumb out in the streets. And he was telling the truth. Then that's how getting
That's
introduced.
C. Dolores Tucker. That's when. Yeah, I remember. I remember that whole period. That was that was rough.
And then they try to say that Rush is a racist, but then he have Walter E. Williams, and I have a book right behind me called Basic Economics. You know what that is, right?
Yeah.
Thomas Sowell. He used to have them on the show. Then he had that TV show, and
he gets completely ignored in society today, even though he's one of the smartest people and an absolute role model for all Black people. But they won't. Him and Ben Carson, they just act like they don't exist.
Shit, Walter E. Williams soon. Walter E. Williams, hey, you learn some game. Like I mean, the one taking his mantle and rolling with it is Todd Anderson. You hear what he's talking about.
Oh,
Dr. Claude Anderson, he said, hey, we need to start. What KB saying, we need to start using our vote, make them buy a vote.
No, I haven't heard that.
Yeah, okay. I don't know if I still got on site, but
look it up. I'll look into it for sure.
But hey, I'll let you go ahead and go on. And it's 3 hours.
That's all good, man. Let me see. I got that drawing. I want to do a live with you about if you're into the MCU and DCU. I really want to do that.
I'm in the Game of Thrones. It's by look at my name.
That's what I'm saying.
Here you go. I got it right here. The Claude Anderson stuff. Dr. Claude Anderson. I put it in the back check if you.
Okay. No, I'll definitely check it out.
So, I could just send it to you.
Yeah. Either way. No, I'll definitely check it out. But yeah, there's a couple things I would like to talk to you about. What's going on, G. Will? I'll bring him up. G. Will's coming up. But before he comes up, I want to show that drawing because it should not have caused the outrage that it caused. Where did I put it?
If you ain't noticed, man, the left goes super crazy when they are the butt of the joke.
This is the drawing. The drawing that I did. So that's pencil, and I did pastel versions of it. So the pencil was just a show. Well, that's not part of it.
Man,
this drawing this right here caused all kind of craziness in Chicago back when I put that out. It should not have caused what it did. Like I said, that was my introduction to politics.
Yeah.
Just doing 2 basic drawings. What's going on, G. Will?
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. So this was just real quick. I was just listening to what you guys were talking about, and when thoughts changed on party lines and stuff like that. So I grew up Black family, Black mother, single mom, taught that all Republicans was racist, and they didn't like Black people, and it literally, always talks about how much of a troll he was on Facebook. Literally, like, I got tired of losing arguments, so I really had to do some research because I got tired of losing arguments to O. And Mel, I don't know if I ever.
No, that's Taryn. Mel.
I know we sound just
Taryn,
like.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Taryn,
we sound just like, man. I know.
So Taryn, I don't know if you ever heard the reason what really set me against the Democratic Party and liberal media. But I've told O this, but I watched the ABC News bus Mexicans to a congressman's office here in the town I live in, and set up cameras in the parking lot, say action, let 5 minutes of craziness go, and then say cut, everybody get back on the bus and head north on the freeway. And at that moment, I was like, nope, can't do it. Been brainwashed too long. I'm never, ever doing it again. So that's what really, I got tired of losing arguments, so it made me have to get a little bit smarter. And I saw what Trump did, for the country, and my family personally and my business personally, and I see what is going on with this administration, and I'm done. Yeah, I'm finished.
That's it. All right, I'm gonna start dropping my links. the people that I follow. Real Talk Nikki is phenomenal. If you guys don't follow her, please do.
With that, gentlemen, I'm out of here. That's all I came up for. Thank you guys for covering the debate. I've been on the road, so I've been watching and listening to y'all all night. So I appreciate you. Appreciate the perspective. Y'all all have a wonderful night.
Thank you, sir. Take it easy, man. Appreciate your testimony. Gw, I don't have your card. Since you're still up, put the basic information so I can put it up in the chat. Put it in a private chat, and then I can promote your business. Because Gw's got a business.
Oh, for the business?
Yes, sir.
All
Just
right,
put the
I'll
general
do
stuff
it.
that you want out there, because I don't have a card up here. I'm
All right,
upstairs.
I'm still in the car, and I just pulled up on lovely California. I just pulled up on a bad scene where somebody didn't make it. So,
ooh, all right.
So I'll put it up for the next show.
Okay, I got you, man. All right,
All right,
thank you, sir. G-Will actually made this shirt for me, and it says it's got my name and it says I lean to the right.
Oh, that's dope.
And I got a couple more. He's got another one that says what's the other one say, man?
Looking for a fresh wind.
Yes, looking for a fresh wind, which is actually G-Will's line that I stole. And then he actually made me some like this. It's not this, but he actually made me some like this. Oh, here's one.
I couldn't
Don't look at my face, but he actually made this for me. So that's pretty cool. Oh, I got your card. Here's your card. STGdesigns. So I'll type it up and I'll put it in the chat also.
I appreciate you. Y'all have a good night.
Yes, sir. All right, so I'll put his information in there also.
Yeah, I'm about to go and make a move too, man. Hey,
we awesome. That's so funny.
Yes, that's hilarious.
That's awesome. So yeah, he does stuff like that. So I'm gonna definitely be promoting him. I'm gonna put him as part of the links that I do before I say bye to everybody. You're in there too.
So you saw my show, man. Like what do you think? The chemistry good between me and him? Yeah, you can tell we know each other. We go, yeah. That's what I like, man. Because like, I think what's probably missing. I might need like a editor or something to clip up stuff.
Well, that comes later. Right now, you just want to keep doing it, and you'll get more and more comfortable. I learned that from doing all the videos that I used to do. Because I started out with videos and not live streams, I learned how to edit really good. So now I can do either. So now that I'm doing live streams, I'm starting to clip them up, and you see I'm starting to release videos, and at least once a day I'm going to release a video if I'm not live. If I'm live, I don't release the video. But yeah, you'll get more and more comfortable. Just keep doing the lives. Don't have high expectations right away. And yeah, stay on your thing. Don't jump from genre to genre. You want to be careful doing that. Be very careful doing that. Because I learned I got that. My wife got me that lead attorney. What is it called? It's two separate. What is it called? Is it masterclass? I think it's called a masterclass. She got me.
Oh, I ain't know lead attorney had it. Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh yeah, it's huge, and I mean, I learned so much. If you watch my lives from when I first started to now, you'd be like, holy crap. And that's because I'm just implementing the stuff that he laid out there. So
I've been doing the thumbnails. My thumbnails been all right. We just need a logo. If I had a solid logo, I could kind of do. We have a solid logo. I could kind of freak it up a little bit better. But like I've learned from other sectors, like have a little eye candy on there. Like that's why, like I don't have a cheerleader or something on that thumbnail. Like
you can do that, but really, what it's about is more consistency. So people will look and know that that's your thumbnail.
Yeah. Right now we need a logo. We need a set logo. I like the weekend show to have that fish fry every weekend, either Saturday or Sunday. Sunday I have more interaction.
Panels. I've been every time somebody goes live on a topic that Taryn is, I immediately message them. Hey, this person's live. This person's live. Get those panels. Get out there so people see you. So
yeah, and I think right now, I kind of want to get people used to having Saturday or Sunday. Hey, they be having a sports show.
Yeah,
come rock with them. Like the Sunday one was actually. I'm debating if we should keep it on Sunday from 7 to like.
So the day after and review.
Yeah, do more review.
You can forecast for the following week if you do that. Do it that
Oh
way.
yeah, and see, I want to do that. I want to have something on Wednesday to preview, kind of like how Inside NFL does.
Yep.
The Wednesday show. I want to do that, and see the thing I need to know. I want to get the watch hours up. I need to know what's the deal with like how can I license highlights? How did that go? Like so I can actually have like a real sports show. Have the highlights.
You got to get permission, as far as I know. But right now, you can test it out. This is the time to test it out before you get monetized. Because once you're monetized is when they really they clamp down. That's why I'm able to use the music that I use.
Yeah.
How you doing, Miss Genesis? What's going on?
Hey, Miss Genesis. I keep on forgetting that's her name.
Yeah. So what? Right now, you can play a little bit more than when you actually get monetized. So test it out. The worst thing they can do is say you can't play this video and take it down. But when you're monetized is when they start flag or striking you, and they'll say no, you can't do that because you're getting paid off of it. So test it out now. You'll know. So every video that I have, it has copyrights on it because I play music before all my lives, and I play music at the end of my lives. And it's known music. I just do instrumentals. But once I go live, the reason why I do it at the beginning and end is I can just go back and clip them off. It's really easy to do that, and it won't affect my channel at all. But every single live that I have says copyright on it, every one of them. And that's how you'll know, okay, I can't do that when I get monetized. But for now, you can play with it and see what's allowed. They'll let you know.
Yeah, because I wonder like how I wonder if there's like anywhere I could like when I do get monetized, if I could buy licenses like let's say I want
be able to.
That's what I'm saying, because I want to be like I'm telling you, I want to be like a legit sports show, like because like it was a play on the Nebraska Colorado game. I got it on deck, but I wasn't sure how
they'll block it if you can't.
Yeah,
and then what you do is you'll dispute it, and then they'll tell you why you can't.
Yeah.
That's how I've been learning. I've had so many videos. I've had so many videos that they weren't flagged. They were threatened to be taken down or blocked completely. And then I went back and disputed, and then they told me why. And that's how I've learned essentially all of that.
I wonder this. I wonder if it's when the fair use, if it's a 9-second clip, that's a fair use card they could use.
So it's different with sports because of all the licensing. I think you have to get, what do they say? They say it before and after everything. You have to get expressed written consent or something like that. But you can always go to their website and do like the ask, just ask them a question or yeah, that's what I would do. I would just ask them, what do I need to do if I'm a small YouTube channel and I want to use some highlights?
Yeah, because like I said, they're allowed, man. I was thinking, man, having do the whole highlights and whole 9, man. Highlight, low light, the whole 9. But like I don't know how.
I don't know. Yeah, that's gonna be hard, but it don't hurt to ask and try.
Yeah.
I asked questions to all the music that I use. I sent them Instagram messages and Twitter messages, and if they respond, they respond. If not, I still know that if it says copyright, I won't be able to use it when I'm monetized. So don't hurt to ask. Designs. Sorry, I'm typing out Gw's information so I can put that up too. I've already put everyone else's. STG Designs. But yeah, he does cool stuff, man. That'll be a let me see. Bam, STG Designs. All right, so I'm gonna put his information up. This is Gw. This will be going up on my things from now on. Gw. But yeah, all you can do is play with it, ask the questions, man. Actually, yes, I do, Just Jay. I do. I don't draw as much as I used to, but I'm still I think the last thing I did was like a couple months back. But yeah, absolutely. Will's business.
All right, I'm gonna go and let you go, man. I'm gonna do some research on this.
Yes, sir. If you ever any questions, you know how to reach me, man. Appreciate you for coming up. Thank you.
All right, take care.
All right, take it easy. All right, I already shared everyone's links. So I shared Real Talk Nikki, Mel's Hot Button Thoughts. I shared Biz 101, Kwame Brown Bust Life, Vince the Sniper, Miss Akimi, Damn D, POV, Selena, Taryn the Black, who was just up here. This is G Will's business. I'm going to share that also. If you guys want to get any type of, any type of merch, bam. Those are ways to reach G Will. I appreciate that, Just Jay. Thank you very much. Let's see what else. So I guess now I'll just thank everybody. Just Jay, thank you so much. I appreciate you, young lady. Miss Genesis 1, thank you. Who else was in there? Taryn the Black, obviously, did the whole live with Mel's button, or we'll just say Mel Dub. Mel Dub was here. We had G Will, of course, was here, and he came up on the panel. Miss Phoenix Rising was here almost the whole thing. Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Kay Soprano was in here making hilarious points. Mike Levin was in here also. Let's see. Make sure I'm not ignoring anybody over here because that would be rude. I am not. King Mills came in here also. Thank you. Let's see who else was in here. Oh, Amber C came up. Bless the panel. Appreciate that. L Boogie was in here. Thank you, sir. As always, appreciate you all coming in here. Andre Dub was in here. Appreciate him always supporting. Kobe Bryant Film Room was in here. Film Room was in here. I missed that comment. He said the moderators were working for the intelligence agencies and were clearly biased. I agree. Who else came in here? There was a lot of people in here. Clara Booker was in here. Appreciate her for stopping in. Wow, there was a lot of people. T-Hep 305 was in here. Always appreciating him coming in here. He always supports. Miss Chicago, another one, always supporting, always contributing. Thank you. Man, yeah, I was on live long, so this list is very, very long. Bill Turner came in here. That was awesome. That was cool. I don't even know who that is. That was cool. I think that was his first time being in here. Awesome. No Drama, No Problem was in here. Appreciate. I don't know if that's a woman or a guy. Bolo VNR was in here. Appreciate him always stopping in, always supporting, always sending me ideas on Instagram. Toby was in here. Tizzle H was in here. Thank you guys for all stopping by. I think that's everybody. Did I really make it all the way up to the top? Nice. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Miss Genesis, for dropping those links. I appreciate you. I am done. If you guys would like to provide a fresh wind. My next shirt's gonna say, this one says, I lean to the right, because that is how I start out every live. If you would like to provide a fresh wind, the blessing would absolutely be appreciated. And that's all I got for today. That was a long live. I appreciate everyone. That's all I got. Thank you very much. If you are new here, please like, subscribe, share, comment. I really like comments. I read them all. There's not that many, so I'm still able to read them all. Thank you very much, Miss Just J. I appreciate you.